Coming in at 10, Juliana Margulies and Archie Panjabi. Now, I love and hate this rumor simply because I absolutely loved the show The Good Wife, and I adored both of these characters. The rumor goes though that Juliana Margulies and Archie Panjabi both hated each other so much they needed green screen to film their final scenes together because they couldn't stand being in the same room as one another. When Panjabi filmed her final scene on the series with Margulies, it was revealed that the two filmed it separately and had it stitched together in post-production. However, Margulies stated that this was just gossip and that Panjabi was filming her other show The Fall and couldn't make it back in time. However, things got heated when Panjabi took to Twitter to deny these claims, stating that The Fall wasn't even in production when the finale was filmed. Yikes. I actually went to the same university as Archie Panjabi. Fun fact. Coming in at 9, Beyonce faked her first pregnancy. This theory widely circulated the internet back in 2011 when the singer was expecting her first child, Blue Ivy. Now the theory goes that Beyonce was never truly pregnant with her child, and instead she commissioned a surrogate to bring her daughter to term, and she fooled everyone by wearing a prosthetic stomach. However, all was going well when we all found out the truth on live television, when the singer's stomach seemingly deflated as she was taking a seat on an Australian talk show. So of course, as soon as people saw this, they went crazy with theories. Things got so intense with the singer that in 2016, while pregnant with twins, she did a partially nude photo shoot to prove to the world that she was carrying her babies. Something she really didn't have to do, but our queen blessed us all. Coming in at 8, Gene Simmons' tongue. Kiss, as we all know, are a band that would do quite literally anything for attention, but none more so than bassist Gene Simmons. He is known for his long, really long tongue, and rumors began circulating about whether it was in fact real or not. Many actually suspect that the Kiss frontman had a cow's tongue grafted onto his own so that the persona as the demon would be more believable. However, the rock star has adamantly denied these claims, as you would. Coming in at 7, David Bowie and Mick Jagger. This rumor was cooked up on the Joan Rivers show back on May 4th, 1990, when Angela Bowie, ex-wife of David Bowie, spilled some dirt on her famous ex-husband. While on the show she claimed, I quote, "I caught him in bed with men several times. In fact, the best time I caught him in bed was with Mick Jagger." And when prompted to answer if they had their clothes off, she stated, "They certainly did." Up until that point, David Bowie had openly acknowledged his bisexuality, and although Mick Jagger had not made any such statement, rumor had it that the singer was known to sleep with men, perhaps even a bandmate or two. Coming in at 6, Phil Collins' In the Air Tonight. According to this rumor, the lyrics to the Phil Collins song In the Air Tonight are about the night he watched his friend die. Now the lyrics themselves are ambiguous, but one tale says that the song adapts an incident in which Collins was on a mountain and watched his friend drown in a lake below. Apparently there was a man nearby who could have saved him, but didn't. The rumor even goes as far as to claim that Collins invited the man to go to one of his concerts so that he could play the song for him in person. However, saying that Phil Collins has claimed many times that the entire Face Value album is about the end of a marriage. Coming in at 5, Michael Jackson slept in an oxygen chamber. Back in the 1980s, there was a rumor that the King of Pop owned a hyperbaric oxygen chamber and used to sleep in the rejuvenation tank because he believed it was extremely healthy and would prolong his life. Then in 1986, a photo was leaked of Jackson appearing to be sleeping in the oxygen tank, with many reports circulating at the time that the tank was in his home and that's where he would sleep. However, back in 1993, Jackson flat out said that he had never had an oxygen chamber in his home, and that the chamber he was pictured in was for his charity, the Michael Jackson Burn Center. Coming in at 4, January Jones's baby daddy. Back in 2011, January Jones gave birth to her son Xander, and to this day nobody knows who the father of the child is. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Some have guessed that the father is her ex, Jason Sudeikis. Others think it was her X-Men First Class director Matthew Vaughn, who was married to Claudia Schiffer. However, the most likely person is Bobby Flay. This is because Flay's ex-wife, Stephanie March, once told a press room that the reason she got divorced was because Flay was having an affair with January Jones, and is the father of her son. So, there we have it, I guess. Coming in at 3, Steve from Blue's Clues. A ton of rumors circulated the news when Steve Burns left Blue's Clues back in 2002, and as most fans tend to do, they fabricated stories about the actor dying in a car accident, having a problem with alcoholism, and even being put in an insane asylum. In the world of the TV show, the character left under the premise that he was going off to college, and that's when his replacement came along, Joe and his big orange sweater. The real reason is far from what I previously mentioned though. He was going bald. I quote, "I know I wasn't going to be doing children's television all my life, mostly because I refused to lose my hair on a kids TV show, and it was happening. Fast. Respect." Coming in at 2, Richard Gere and the gerbil. Now, this rumor is perhaps the most absurd thing I've ever read in my entire life, and honestly, and I warn you before going into this that it is not nice and kind of upsetting. However, saying that, Richard Gere himself has called this infamous story an urban myth, and that it is completely untrue. Back in the 90s, Gere was coming off the success of films such as Pretty Woman, during which time the actor was supposedly rushed to Cedars-Sinai Hospital in LA for an emergency gerbilectomy. That's right, a gerbilectomy. According to reports, a gerbil was inserted inside of the actor with erotic intent. Yeah, I can't even say that with a straight face. Now, thankfully, there is no shred of evidence surrounding this claim. However, Gere has suspicions on who started this rumor, Sylvester Stallone. I quote, "Richard was fired from our movie set and to this day seriously dislikes me. He even thinks I'm the individual responsible for the gerbil rumor. Not true, but that's the rumor." And finally, coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie slept with her brother. Angelina Jolie has always had an interesting dating history, from Billy Bob Thornton to Val Kilmer to Brad Pitt. However, the incident that always stands out to us is the 2000 Oscars. Jolie showed up with her brother James Haven as her date, and the two went as far as to share a passionate kiss together. Following the kiss, Jolie won an Oscar for her role in Girl Interrupted and said, "I'm in shock, and I'm so in love with my brother right now," before going on to say, "He just held me and said he loved me, and I know he's so happy for me." Okay, calm down. The internet, of course, was abuzz with speculation that the siblings were closer than they should be. However, the two have adamantly denied these claims, as you would, and as you should. Coming in at 10, Jay-Z and Rihanna had an affair. Now, this seems to be a rumor within a rumor, thanks to Jay-Z playing an instrumental role in Rihanna's career. Some even say that Rihanna actually made this rumor up herself to gain popularity. However, some say Ring the Alarm by Beyonce is about Rihanna and the affair she had with Jay-Z. There is so much swirling around this one. However, the rumor that most believe is that Solange Knowles beat up Jay-Z in the infamous elevator video because they had a run-in with Rihanna. Juicy indeed. They 100%. In at 9, Cher had ribs removed. According to this rumor, my favorite person in the world, Cher, had some ribs removed. Cher is known for her incredible pop hits such as Believe, If I Could Turn Back Time, and Gypsy Tramps and Thieves. However, she's also been outspoken about her plastic surgery. While her body has always been flawless, even at the age of 73, would smash, Cher refused to admit that she had 2 ribs removed to give her a smaller waist, something that has been speculated for years. I mean, to each their own. I don't really care. Ribs or not, still love her. But I have my doubts. Cher is loud, and I think she would have voiced this. Nothing but respect for my queen. Love each and every rib. In at 8, Magic Johnson got HIV at an orgy with Eddie Murphy. Yes, this one is a lot. In 1991, Irvin Magic Johnson announced that he had HIV, the result of a number of sexual encounters with women over the course of his basketball career. However, some people weren't sold on this, and rumors were abuzz that he actually got infected after an orgy Eddie Murphy threw that was attended by a handful of prostitutes. Further speculation ties Jermaine Stewart, the We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off singer, who died of complications to Johnson as well. In at 7, Khloe Kardashian is OJ's daughter. I mean, this one is a tale as old as time and has some merit, I think. If you look closely, there is a striking resemblance between sisters Kim and Kourtney. However, Khloe looks nothing like her sisters. This is rumored to be because her mother Kris had an affair with O.J. Simpson, a close friend of the family's, and that the incarcerated star might actually be Khloe's real father. However, Kris quickly hopped on the content train and had Khloe take a paternity test on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which proved it was false. Sure, Jan. I mean, unless they actually got OJ to do it as well, I don't see how that works. We know Kris is the mother, we just want to know who the father is. In at 6, Oprah and Gayle are lovers. This has been a long time rumor that has floated around the internet for years. The theory goes that Oprah Winfrey and Gayle aren't just friends, they're actually a secret couple, and I'm so here for it. Gayle has no idea where the rumor came from or how it started, stating, "I've given up trying to figure that out. At this stage, if you still think that, it's on you." Honestly, Gayle, I still think it, and it's on me. And you're probably on Oprah right now. In at 5, Blake Shelton supports Paul Ryan. Blake Shelton was once spotted alongside Paul Ryan, with the singer snapped shaking hands with the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, at a restaurant. Of course, because of this, everyone believed that the two were in cahoots. However, Shelton was quick to shut down the rumors, saying that they just happened to bump into each other in matching outfits. Sure, they were both wearing camo, looked like they'd just come from shooting something. They're friends. In at 4, the NBA suspended Michael Jordan for gambling. In '93, after the Chicago Bulls won 3 championships, the NBA reportedly launched an investigation into whether the Chicago Bulls guard put bets on the game in which he played. Michael Jordan admitted to gambling, but insisted that the habit never affected his livelihood. Shortly after this, he stunned everyone by quitting the NBA to play baseball, and the investigation was ultimately dropped. The theory is that NBA chief David Stern and Jordan colluded to have him quit for a period of time so that he could re-enter the league and avoid all of the mess and not be in trouble. Respect. In at 3, Taylor Swift dumped Calvin Harris for buying sex. According to this rumor, when DJ Calvin Harris was spotted leaving a cheap massage parlor known for illegally selling sex, he was very quick to deny the rumors. However, that didn't stop the rumors from happening. Then of course his relationship with Taylor Swift ended not long after. Could there be a connection between the two? Did she end the relationship because he was paying for sex? Who knows? Who cares? In at 2, Mikey from the Life commercial stomach exploded. This urban legend centers on Mikey, the kid who hated everything except Life cereal. The rumor was that that young boy had ingested a mixture of Coke and Pop Rocks, and in turn it made his stomach explode, with the boy dying instantly. However, to debunk this theory, John Gilchrist is very much alive, but will the combination kill you? That's something we don't want to find out. It probably doesn't kill you, but you never know. Should I try it on camera? I'm turning 27. I'll do it on my birthday and then we'll see if I live. 27 Club, here I come. And finally, coming in at number 1, Jennifer Lawrence caused Chris Pratt's divorce. According to some theorists, J-Lo caused the split between Chris Pratt and Anna Faris. Crazy I know, but possibly true. When Pratt starred alongside Lawrence in the movie Passengers, rumors were abuzz that the pair were having a steamy affair. It even became so rampant that Chris's now ex-wife Anna addressed the rumors, with all of them adamantly denying it. However, Faris later admitted publicly that her concern about her husband's alleged infidelity was a factor that led to their eventual divorce. More bizarre still, Lawrence is still friends with both Pratt and Faris. Way to play both sides. Coming in at 10, Tom Cruise is an alien. Tom Cruise, as we know, is one of the most famous members of the Church of Scientology. There is so much mystery surrounding the church, but particularly surrounding the galactic ruler Xenu. According to the Washington Post, Scientologists believe that Xenu once expelled humans to Earth from another planet, and their disembodied spirits live in everyone. Saying that, many have theorized that Cruise is in fact part alien spirit. It has also been rumored that Cruise built an alien bunker at his Colorado estate out of fear that Xenu would attack again. Coming in at 9, Walt Disney's body. Now, prior to Walt Disney's death, his health had been deteriorating for many months before he finally agreed to enter St. Joseph Hospital in California on November 2, 1966, where a walnut-sized spot was discovered on his left lung. After a successful surgery and 2 weeks of post-operative care, Disney was released from the hospital before growing too weak and returning to the hospital again. His health then began to fail even more, and Walt died 2 weeks later when his circulatory system collapsed on the morning of December 15, 1966. Following his death, numerous claims were made that his body was frozen somewhere at Disneyland, specifically under the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. Yikes. Coming in at number 8, Dolly Parton's ribs. Like Cher on our previous list, Dolly Parton has also been the subject to ridiculous rumors about her tiny frame. However, the singer clarified that she's never undergone any such surgery during a 2014 interview with Woman's Day. I quote, "I went into a restroom in Los Angeles years ago and this girl said, 'Oh, I want you to tell me, does that really hurt?' I was like, 'What? Does what hurt?' She said, 'Like when they take your ribs out.' She then went on to debunk the rumor, saying that her waist is little because nothing grows in the shade. Coming in at 7, Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer is a pseudonym of an unidentified serial killer who operated in Northern California from at least the late 1960s to the early 1970s. The killer targeted 4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29, with 2 of the men surviving attempted murder. After years of searching, the true identity of the killer has never been discovered. However, there are some out there who believe it to be Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Now, there is no evidence suggesting that this is even remotely true, other than the fact that the senator bears a small resemblance to the sketch of the killer. In fact, an exhaustive investigation by the Washington Post revealed that Cruz was born in 1970, while the first known killing by the Zodiac was in 1968. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Coming in at 6, Cameron Diaz's face. Now, this one is just bizarre, honestly. In 2011, Pop Sugar asked Cameron Diaz what the weirdest rumor she had ever heard about herself was, and she said, "It's that I only wash my face with Evian water." So where does the theory come from. The actress went on to state, I quote, "We live our lives in trailers. Actors are like circus folk. People don't realize that it's super unglamorous, and the water in the trailer comes from tanks they put chemicals in so that it doesn't freeze. It's like antifreeze. You would never wash your face with it. So anyone who washes their face at work would have to use bottled water to wash their face. There's a grain of truth in everything that someone has taken it and just spoiled it. So was someone ruining everything for everyone?" Coming in at 5, Justin Bieber is a reptile. According to some theorists and Australian news website Perth Now, during one of Justin Bieber's visits down under a few years back, hundreds of eyewitnesses apparently saw their idol turn into a giant reptile. Now, allegedly, several witnesses served up some incredibly interesting quotes, including, "There were girls hiding in toilets, crying, guys were running for the exits, jumping in taxis to get out of there." Classic. Apparently, the star in his reptile form has a black stripe down the middle, and big scaly claws that lash out angrily. Now, of course, there is no evidence to confirm the rumor, not to mention the fact that the idea of a lizard person is biologically impossible. But coming in at 4, Marilyn Manson. Rumor has it that before launching into his music career, shock rocker Marilyn Manson played Kevin Arnold's sidekick, Paul Pfeiffer, on the popular TV series The Wonder Years. However, Pfeiffer was in reality played by Josh Saviano. But the rumor doesn't stop there. According to theorists, Saviano grew up, changed his name, and reconfigured his career to become satanic rock singer Marilyn Manson. In reality though, the singer was 19 years old when The Wonder Years began, meaning he would have been far too old to play pre-teen Pfeiffer. Again, people don't like math, so they don't want to do that. Coming in at 3, Mr. Rogers' Sweaters. Born Fred Rogers, he was a television personality, musician, puppeteer, writer, producer, and Presbyterian minister. He was also the creator, showrunner, and host of the preschool television series Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Now, the star was known for his adorable sweaters, but this rumor goes that he wore those sweaters to cover up the tattoos from his time as a Navy SEAL. However, the truth of the matter is, Fred Rogers never served in any war. He was actually a devoted Presbyterian minister who neither smoked nor drank. Sad times. Can't relate. In at 2, Taylor Swift is a clone. A couple years back, an image cropped up online of a woman named Zena LaVey, a high priestess of the Church of Satan. However, it was incredibly difficult not to see the striking resemblance between herself and pop star Taylor Swift. Of course, it wasn't long before rumors began swirling, including one that stated Swift was a clone of LaVey. I quote, "The conspiracy theory is that Swift was taken and replaced by the Illuminati with a clone of LaVey, who was apparently a member of a secretive cult, according to BuzzFeed. Neither Swift nor LaVey have debunked the rumor, therefore it must be true." True. And finally, coming in at number 1, Beyonce kidnapped Sia. In 2016, this crazy theory emerged on Brazilian social media that Beyonce kidnapped fellow pop star Sia and was holding her hostage as her songwriter. Lol. A hashtag even began trending on Twitter called Save Sia. The rumor seemed to have begun because of a misinterpreted article back in 2015 in Billboard in which Sia said that collaborating with Beyonce is like a writing camp and that she's very Frankenstein when she comes to the songs. I don't know how that suggests kidnapping, but to each their own, I guess. Like, was Beyonce down in a basement cutting up people's limbs and sticking them to Sia? I don't think so.
Number 10. Jada's biases. When the Oscars So White controversy erupted in 2016, Will and Jada were among the most vocal critics of the Academy. For the second year in a row, all 20 of the actors nominated in the lead and supporting role categories were white, something that had not happened since 1998. Jada released a much publicized and highly mocked video explaining why she was boycotting the event, hoping to shine a spotlight on institutional racism. However, the majority of Hollywood was well aware that Jada was being a massive hypocrite, as during an episode of Red Table Talk, the actress confessed to her own tendency to judge others, revealing she specifically had a problem with blonde white women. According to Jada herself, blonde hair on a woman just kinda sets her off, and she's had to hold herself back a few times. She went on to reveal that she had actually turned down several interviews over the years simply due to the interviewer being a white blonde lady. She claims that her bias is due to her history of being bullied by women with those physical traits growing up. Now, I don't know, I got bullied all the time, but you don't see me running away from everyone who wears camo. Number 9, bad mom. Rumors have been flying around for years that Willow and Jaden Smith basically raised themselves. Their upbringing was nothing to scoff at. Jaden was on track to become an actor after starring in the 2008 remake of the classic Karate Kid series alongside martial arts and opera legend Jackie Chan, but later shifted his focus to more entrepreneurial side of things, developing his own fashion brand, which has garnered him massive success. His sister Willow opted to stick with her creative roots, however, and has made quite the name for herself in the hip-hop genre. Jada. Unfortunately, their behavior comes from a place of neglect. During an episode of Red Table Talk, Jaden confronted his parents, calling out their terrible parenting skills. With both being so busy in their careers, they were never home to care for the youngsters. Jaden and Willow recount spending a majority of their childhood with various nannies and teachers, only seeing their parents between projects or if they were working with them, like Jaden and Will in The Pursuit of Happiness. Willow has backed up her brother's story, claiming that the parenting skills forced them to become mentally mature at a very young age, which may play some part in Jaden's success at just 24. Despite appearing to be a happy family unit in the media, the reality is Jaden and Willow have been raising themselves for a very long time. Number 8. Their relationship is driven by money. The Smith family has been at the top of the news storm for a long time, since it was announced that the Red Table Talk show was going to be cancelled, and since Will Smith got a little too mad on stage. One topic that was brought up on her talk show before its cancellation was the revelation of an entanglement between Pinkett and a singer-songwriter named August Alsina during a brief break that the couple was taking in the early 2000s. Pinkett was quick to bounce back though after breaking up with Will, entangling with August, and eventually getting back with Will to continue their marriage. It's not all sunshines and rainbows though, as the couple still has marital issues to this day and have been plagued with cheating rumors ever since. They've been thrown even further under the bus by their own kids, Willow and Jaden, who claim that the family is highly dysfunctional behind the scenes. Together, Jada and Will carry around a dark storm cloud of negative energy and spread it to everyone they interact with. You would think these guys would just split and save each other the mental hassle, but just look at Will's house. That thing could fit thousands of people inside of it. Them splitting up would mean losing their fancy house, and we wouldn't want that, huh? We wouldn't want that, real estate brokers of Los Angeles, would we? Number 7. She's manipulative. Many things about Jada's personality made celebrities speculate that she may have a hidden evil personality deep within her. While the 94th Academy Awards were very interesting, after host Chris Rock made a joke about Jada's balding head, Will Smith initially laughed, but then he looked at Jada, who is seen rolling her eyes and giving him an "are you kidding me" kind of look. The look was enough to force Will's smile away and cause him to do a complete 180, taking the stage to defend his wife. Jada is most certainly the reason that this situation took place, despite claiming that she can't make Will do anything. Maybe she didn't do it, but she did encourage him to defend her name, and she did have the power to stop her husband from ruining his career. It's not hard to hold someone's hand and go, "Honey, I am mad, but please leave Chris Rock alone." Number 6. She made Snoop Dogg cry. Just after Kobe Bryant passed away in 2020, Snoop Dogg was quick to call out Gate King after she stated in a TV interview that in the past, Kobe was accused of making unwanted advances on a woman that wasn't his wife. In an Instagram video, Snoop Dogg would call out King, and in the process, he insulted King's appearance before telling her to back off B before he came to get her. She would bring Snoop Dogg on Red Table Talk, where she would embarrass him not just in front of her mother and her daughter, but in front of the entire world. After she told the rapper that she felt hurt on behalf of all women when she watched the video of him going after Gayle. As a result, Snoop would be so embarrassed that he would make another video on Instagram where he apologized to King by saying, when you're wrong, you gotta fix it. This was a derogatory manner based off emotions, and he was raised better than that, so he wanted to apologize to her publicly for the language that he used. Jada somehow made Snoop Dogg retract a statement. That man is a sweetheart, but he can be terrifying if he wants to. This isn't really a rumor, I just wanted the world to know that she made a friendly giant cry on the internet. Number 5. Cheating scandals. For a long time now, Will and Jada have attempted to hide their various marriage misdeeds from the media, but they've never actually been successful at it. While both have been rumored to have been cheating on each other multiple times, it was Jada who was confirmed to be the real cheater. While rumors had been circulating that Will was romantically involved with his co-star Margot Robbie from Focus, those were quickly laid to rest thanks for the entire crew of the project confirming that any photos taken of them on set and in character. Jada, however, was most certainly cheating on Will a few years prior with her Hawthorne co-star Mark Anthony. And the proof? Well, Will walked in on them getting jiggy with it and was reduced to tears according to Jada. While they were able to hide it at the time, the conversation that took place between herself and Will on the now cancelled Red Table Talk was quite revealing. Not only did this cheating scandal take place, but Jada briefly entangled with a musician named August Alsina when they separated back in the day. This woman really needs to chill. Number 4. She was forced forced to marry Will. Not only has Jada gone on to roast Will Smith for his actions at both the Oscars and in life in general, but she also shared in an episode of Red Table Talk in 2018 that she cried while walking down the aisle on her wedding day because she never wanted to get married. Rumors had been spread for years that the couple were somehow forced to be together. In the video, Jada could be seen talking about her wedding with Will Smith, and in this, she confesses that she didn't want to get married. She only ended up doing it because her mother forced them to, because Jada was pregnant with Jaden while the two were still dating. She claimed that her mother was not going to be accepting the newborn if the two were just still dating when he was born, so they decided to tie the knot. She then went on to describe how terrible her wedding day was. Oh, was it terrible when everything was really expensive and pretty? That sucks. Number 3, she's a scientist. Although Jada has tried to claim that she isn't a member of the Church of Science, she has been connected to the controversial religion for years. To a point, even an ex-scientist named Leah Remini told the Daily Beast in 2017 that she knew Jada. She's been involved with the church for a long time, and she claimed that she had never seen Will there, that she saw Jada at the Celebrity Center. Lee would then later appear alongside Jada in 2018 on her talk show, where the pair settled the dispute, where Jada claims that the stories are outlandish, but that she did attend some events. Number 2, she wanted to get divorced for years. Breakup rumors have plagued this couple since they first got together in 1997, but they rarely ever came forward to comment on the gossip. However, when the whole Margot Robbie rumor thing began to circulate, Will decided to finally speak up and clear the record. Himself and Jada were not getting divorced, and he was not dating Margot Robbie. Jada backed up the statement on Entertainment Tonight when the question of why people seem to want them to fall apart came up. While they presented a united front, conversations later on the matter suggested that these two had at least spoken about it at one point or another. During Will's appearance on Red Table Talk, the topic came up again, and Will said that he would never get divorced as it was something that he had already done and would like to avoid repeating if possible. Jada laughed and said, yeah, not an option. But when she had Toni Braxton on as a guest, she claimed that she simply wasn't mature enough to get divorced, which makes it sound like she's down to leave Will, she just can't do it right now. Jada is just counting down the days till she finally turns 18 mentally and kicks his butt to the curb. And at number 1, she yelled at Barbie. Although Jada and Will have been married since 1997, it's clear that she doesn't think her marriage is really as strong as it is, to the point where she once confidently felt that Margot Robbie could sweep in at any moment and steal her man. Even though the couple isn't an open marriage, Jada can be a hardcore jealous person when it comes down to it. She lashed out at Margot on set of the film Focus while herself and Will were filming one day. Unfortunately, her biases towards blonde white women got the better of her in this situation, as there was lots of proof that Will and Margot were just friends, but hey, why focus on hardcore evidence? Number 10, Katy Perry collects hair. The singer was once asked during an interview a very simple and cute question of, "What's in your purse?" And fans perhaps hoped that she would respond with a bottle of Killer Queen or a cupcake crumb. But Katy Perry answered, it's just a big empty bag. But she went on to describe what used to be in the purse. She claimed that while in attendance at her first Grammy Awards ceremony, she got to share a dressing room with Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift. Now with all that excitement, you'd think she'd ask for a picture or something, right? No, she asked them for a lock of each of their hairs, which Katy found, quote, totally awesome. Well, her definition of the word awesome must be very different from ours, because this sounds just creepy as all heck. She then elaborated that she would tie little bows to each of them and put them in her purse. Now this sounds so made up, how could it be true? Well, Miley and Taylor actually backed up this story online, and Perry claims to this day that Miley Cyrus is both the most famous person in her purse and in her contacts. Oh, hey, Katie, I think you dropped something. Number 9. Ellen mistreats employees. In her first on-air appearance since announcing the end of her eponymous daytime talk show, Ellen DeGeneres called the press cycle around allegations of toxicity at her workplace orchestrated and misogynistic. The announcement that her show would be cancelled came after months of receiving negative press following a BuzzFeed article reporting former employees alleging that the environment was racially insensitive, filled with harassment and bullying. Ellen maintained in interviews that these allegations were not the reason that she would be leaving leaving the show, simply claiming that the program was no longer challenging for her. While the BuzzFeed report did not allege toxic behavior by Ellen herself, several former staff members claimed that the whole "be kind" motto she had was not genuine at all, which was reflected in a Twitter thread published by comedian Kevin T. Porter. He asked people to send in their horror stories about the host's rudeness over the years, and he received over 2,000 replies. Warner Brothers opened an investigation and concluded that there were some flaws in the day-to-day management at the studio. Following this, Ellen appeared on the 18th season premiere of her show in 2020 and made an on-air apology to viewers, claiming responsibility, later stating that there was no way she could know the true nature of the work environment due to the 255 employees that worked for her across multiple buildings. Hey, ever heard of like a complaint box? Number 8. Prince Charles's affair. He's now the King of England, but he's not always played by the rules. You see, in 1981, Prince Charles, at the time, married Lady Diana, who was 20 years old at the time, leaving a 13-year age gap between them. Behind closed doors, it was speculated that Charles was never in love with Diana in the first place, and it was later proven to be true. While on the outside things seemed pleasant, behind the scenes, Charles was secretly meeting up and having an affair with his ex-girlfriend Camilla Bowles. The alleged relationship was written about in the 1992 Diana Her True Story book, but in 1994, Charles confirmed the allegations in a documentary, because that's a great place to do that. The couple filed for a divorce in 1996, and Diana died 1 year later. While the now king made it clear that he had no plans to remarry, he ended up getting remarried in 2005 to, oh hey, look, it's Camilla Bowles. Shocking. Number 7. Jonathan Majors charges. Jonathan Majors may be familiar to those of you who are fans of the MCU as Kang the Conqueror, the newest big bad addition to the never-ending roster of villains in Marvel's Rogue Gallery. Unfortunately, it looks like he may end up getting the CGI eraser treatment due to an incident in March of this year. Majors was arrested on misdemeanor charges of and following a domestic dispute with his girlfriend. These charges, however, would only be the first domino to fall, as rumors began circulating about similar instances in the past, with many people in both the Yale community, where he went to school, and the New York theater scene, where he studied and practiced performing, claiming Majors was well known for being emotionally violent and professionally abusive, but never physically violent. While Majors is currently in a battle to prove his innocence, claiming the situation to have been blown out of proportions, a series of texts uncovered by his lawyer seemingly proved that there was some merit to the incident. They showed Majors his girlfriend had passed out during the incident and as such had to be hospitalized, where she was reported to have several bruises and scratch marks throughout her entire body. This meant that the charges would stick, and Majors is definitely on his way to the bottomless pit of cancelled celebrities. Number 6. Caitlyn Jenner's transition. Now, this one isn't disturbing because of Caitlyn, it's because of how many people felt that her business needed to be a part of their lives. Let people live, you jerks. Rumors had been circulating of Caitlyn's transition since the early 1970s. The former Olympian had publicly denied these rumors for years, with many family members and friends even backing her story up time and time again. But in 2015, the rumors had begun surfacing again due to Jenner being spotted leaving a doctor's office by a tabloid journalist, supposedly after just receiving estrogen treatments. Jenner had also recently undergone reconstructive surgery, which seemed to only add more fuel to the fire. The photo taken and the speculation began to go viral, despite Jenner not being fully out at the time. But a few months later, following these events, she came out as transgender on a highly publicized interview for Diane Sawyer. In the interview, Jenner expressed the gender identity struggles that she has faced through her entire life, having to hide her true self in order to maintain some macho, sporty persona, and for fear of not being accepted. Even revealing that her first wife, Christy Scott, was the first to really understand her struggles, and despite being divorced in 1998, she's publicly expressed her well wishes towards Caitlyn and how proud she is for being herself. You go, girl. Number 5. Kevin Spacey. For a long time, Kevin Spacey was well known in the Hollywood community as a quality actor with a steady career and no signs of that stopping. That was until October 2017, when a BuzzFeed article, once again, had been published alleging that Spacey had made unwanted advances towards a then 14 Anthony Rapp. Spacey was quick to deny the speculation, claiming it to be another Hollywood scandal to fill screen time, but since the release of that article, 30 more people have come forward with their own allegations against Spacey, ranging from harassment to attempted assault. Spacey pulled back, fake apologizing for what he says must have been some drunken behavior to rap, and he even attempted to shift the subject by coming out of the closet. But the truth had already been set free, and becoming a part of the now famous Me Too movement, Spacey was dropped from all projects he was involved in and has been on Hollywood's blacklist ever since, where he rightfully belongs. Number 4. Tiger Woods' infidelity. Since 1999, the famous golfer had not gone a single year without winning at least one golf major championship. In fact, between the years of 1997 and 2008, he had won 14 majors. He was married to a model, had a beautiful home, and pockets full of cash. What more could you want? Apparently for Tiger, he wanted someone that wasn't his wife. In late November 2009, Tiger was seen by neighbors being chased out of his home by his wife, Ellen Nordegren, with a golf club, before peeling out of his driveway in his Escalade and crashing into a fire hydrant and then a tree. He lied unconscious on the street for 6 minutes before coming to, but by that time, it was already too late. News coverage began speculating that there must have been some case of infidelity with Tiger and his wife. And while rumors had speculated that Tiger had a mistress on the side, it turned out that this guy had a lady in every course, so to speak. He admitted on air to the misdoings and lost his endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, Gillette, and Accenture before announcing his retirement entirely from golf. Woods reportedly confessed to sleeping with 120 women outside of his marriage, but it wasn't until April 2010 when Ellen decided to split up with Woods for good after she discovered that one of those mistresses was the next door neighbor's daughter who was in college at the time. Go Capanu! Number 3. John Lennon's investigation. Lead guitarist of the Beatles and an incredible musician in his own right, John Lennon was always very open on his political views. He was anti-war, anti-establishment, and anti-government, proven by his counterculture-esque songs like Give Peace a Chance. This marked Lennon as a national threat, and his theory on what that meant was a little fishy. Many times in interviews, he would claim that he was under surveillance 24/7 and that he was seeing the same cars driving near his residence essentially every day. Now, while at first this was taken as the ramblings of a hippie under the influence of mind-altering narcotics, this theory was proven to be true in 1972 when the Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to deport him after the FBI had confirmed that Lennon was under investigation for over a year. He was able to fight back and stay in the country to continue his anti-war agenda. See, hippies aren't always crazy. Okay? Number 2. Arnold has a secret kid. Action movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger made headlines in 2011 with the revelation that an old rumor was in fact true. In 1996, Arnold was married to Maria Shriver, a member of the Kennedy family, and they were prepping to welcome their new son Christopher into the world. Arnie didn't prep by building cribs or baby-proofing the outlets though. Instead, he chose to have an affair with his longtime housekeeper Mildred Baina. Around the same time Christopher was born, so was his illegitimate son, Joseph. Rumors began to rise after his wife noticed the strange and sudden absence of the housekeeper and wondered if there may have been a more sinister reason for her departure. It was later revealed in 2011 though that Arnold decided to address the rumors and claim Joseph as his own. It turns out that Arnold had given Mildred a large severance package so that she could properly raise their son, leaving on what they called good terms. Eventually though, after many years of trying and lots of paperwork, Maria and Arnold were finally divorced and he is now able to spend more time as a father. Mildred is a chef and little Joseph is now all grown up and following in his father's footsteps as both a model and in the movie industry. And number 1. Donald Trump's criminal activities. In 2006, Donald Trump was known solely as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality show called The Apprentice. He had recently been married to Melania Trump and he had a newly born 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels after she filed a civil suit claiming that the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump had shared a very intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These weren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 1970s, being accused by 26 women of harassment or misconduct. While these rumors never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was being arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Basically, over the years, he was essentially taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who might have been a threat to him, both personally and politically. Well hey, thanks for the free money, Donnie. We'll see you never.
Starting off, she uses Ozempic. Now, Oprah is known for being the face of Weight Watchers. She'd promote it all the time and maintain that if you followed the program, you would get results like her. Well, it seems like she got a little help from the magic weight loss drug, Ozempic. She's finally admitting to using weight loss drugs and said, in taking weight loss medication, I'm not constantly thinking about what the next meal is gonna be. She uses it in combination with hiking 3 to 5 miles a day, running, wave resistance training, and eating a healthy diet. This is what I got for the first time after I took the medication. All these years, I thought all of the people who never had to diet were just using their willpower, or they were for some reason stronger than me, Oprah said. And now I realize y'all weren't even thinking about the food. It's not that you had the willpower, you were obsessing over it. Yikes. So it seems like she was just selling lies to people who just wanted to feel better about their bodies. Up next is the Maui Fund. Dwayne Johnson and Oprah Winfrey launched the People's Fund of Maui, a fund intended to put money directly into the hands of adults displaced by the deadly wildfires that had ripped through Hawaii in August 2023. Now, according to their Instagram post, every adult resident who's displaced by the fires was eligible to receive $1,200 each month from the fund. Now, the pair noted that they had kicked off the campaign with $10 million in donations, and asked others to help by contributing further. After announcing the fund, the pair drew criticism from some people on social media who questioned why they were not contributing more of their personal wealth. One person on TikTok called their video tone deaf. Some commenters questioned why the pair, as wealthy celebrities, were asking others to give instead of donating more themselves. We can't afford it, but you can, one person commented on their video on TikTok. You guys make more in a day than I'll make in my lifetime, another person wrote. Now, others questioned why the appeal for donations was being directed to the general public rather than their fellow stars with more financial means. This is disgusting, ask other celebrities, not people who are living paycheck to paycheck, another person said. Moving on to being exploitative. Critics have accused Oprah of sensationalism and exploitation in her talk show's early years. For example, there was an incredibly uncomfortable Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen interview that makes us cringe today. In 2004, Mary-Kate and Ashley were guests on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and at the time the interview took place, the twins were only 17 years old, and Mary-Kate had been hounded by the press about her weight, with intense media speculation that the star was suffering from an eating disorder. Oprah says, I know there's been a rumor that has recently surfaced that's really upset you, and Mary-Kate and Ashley were both clearly taken aback by the question, and a tense moment of silence followed, by Oprah saying, you know, the one about eating. Now, Mary-Kate was so thrown off by the line of questioning that she looked almost on the verge of tears, and Ashley jumped in to rescue her. Yeah, you know, people are going to write what they're gonna write, they say. After some awkward back and forth, Oprah asked the Olsen twins what dress size they are, and they reacted uncomfortable by saying, I don't know. It was obvious that the questions about their bodies were uncomfortable, but Oprah still pushed. When they said they weren't sure, Oprah hit back sarcastically saying, oh, you're not sure? That's interesting. Now, later the same year that the Oprah interview aired, Mary-Kate checked into a rehabilitation facility to seek treatment for a food-related health disorder, and Oprah should be ashamed of asking all of that. Then there's promoting pseudoscience. In 2007, Oprah brought Jenny McCarthy, the Playboy model and actress, onto her show to talk about autism. Jenny's young son, Evan, had suffered a series of seizures at 2.5 years old and was later diagnosed with autism. Now, Jenny was adamant that the MMR vaccination Evan received as a baby caused his autism. Oprah gave her story a platform and unwittingly started the panic we know today. Now, during the interview, Oprah never challenged Jenny's views either. Not to mention, she promoted the self-help book and film The Secret, which promotes the law of attraction, and many people accused her of promoting pseudoscience here as well. Now let's talk about the Letterman feud. Both Oprah and David Letterman effectively banned each other from their shows for 2 decades after a mysterious feud. Oprah had her talk show, The Oprah Winfrey Show, and Letterman had his late night show, The Late Show with David Letterman. Now, the feud started back in the 80s when Oprah made an appearance on The Late Show and felt that it was an uncomfortable experience. Now, this made her refuse to be a guest on the show again. In response, Letterman began cracking jokes about Oprah and how much she hated him. Now, this might have contributed to exaggerated rumors about her feelings towards him, but in any case, regardless of how much truth there were in these rumors, she did not speak to him for 16 years. Since then, though, the two have made up a couple of times, but they've buried the hatchet and appeared on each other's shows. Now we have her dark upbringing. Oprah was born in Mississippi to a single teenage mother and grew up in extreme poverty. During her childhood, the cost of raising Oprah became too much for her mother to handle, so she was sent to live with her biological father. Since then, Oprah has come forward talking about how she's been mistreated and taken advantage of by her cousin, uncle, and a family friend. Now at 13, after suffering for years, she ran away from home, and at 14, she became pregnant. She gave birth to a son, but he was premature and died only a few weeks later, and she was able to overcome all of this, but man, she had it rough. On to her promoting a fake book. Oprah has a book club, and she added James Frey's book A Million Little Pieces to the reading list. Now when James was promoting his books on talk shows or other media outlets, it was referred to as a memoir. But large parts of the stories were later found out to be exaggerated or fabricated, sparking a media controversy. Now this was discovered after investigation was conducted by the Smoking Gun. They determined that James had actually fictionalized some of the story, and controversy arose after Oprah initially defended the book, but she later confronted James on her show. Now there's her medical ties. I think Seth MacFarlane said it best in 2020 when he said, "Oprah has done some wonderfully altruistic things with her career, but the use of her platform to amplify the voices of dubious characters rather than legitimate scientists has been a disservice," he wrote in a now deleted tweet. I hope she will lend her own powerful voice to correct it. Now the post included an LA Times article link that discussed medical misinformation from Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz, who Oprah supports. The exception to that is the elevation of these purveyors of pseudoscience. People like Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz, all the way back to Jenny McCarthy and the anti-movement, he continued. And it's a strange dichotomy that I think a lot of people, particularly right now, are having trouble reconciling. You know this person has done all this positive work for the world, and yet somehow has gotten caught up in this web of junk science on many occasions. Next up, we have being rude to guests. Now throughout her career, Oprah has been called out for not being as sensitive as she perhaps could have been. An interview she did with Dolly Parton in 2003 has resurfaced, with people questioning the star and her interview tactics. Some people have questions about what Oprah was asking Dolly, how she was asking, and what exactly her goal was by probing for personal information. Now in the first video, Oprah asked Dolly how she's able to look so good for her age, and Dolly gives her a funny answer. Now Oprah presses harder though, noting that Dolly has been open about having cosmetic work done, but Dolly rolls with the punches and admits to it. Now Dolly even says that she'll probably continue going under the knife, and some people are pointing out that Oprah looks disappointed that Dolly flipped it in her favor. Now a second clip from that same interview popped up as well, and Oprah dives right into a heavy subject, saying she heard Dolly fell into a huge depression at age 40. Now she doesn't really approach the topic with any sensitivity, and that's rubbed people the wrong way. And lastly, we have the scandal in South Africa. When the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls opened in Johannesburg in 2007, Nelson Mandela, Tina Turner, Sidney Poitier, Spike Lee, and Oprah herself attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony celebrating the landmark boarding school, founded with $40 million of Oprah's money. But less than a year later, 6 of the 152 students who had been personally selected by Oprah to attend the institution came forward to accuse dorm matron Virginia Tiny McGabo of mistreating them and taking advantage of them. "It has shaken me to my core," Oprah said, of returning to South Africa with a team of private detectives to investigate the allegations and personally speak with the girls. "This has been one of the most devastating, if not the most devastating experiences in my life. It seems like she and the organization did not look into who they were hiring and how the operation was running, as this all could have been avoided."
Number 10. An advocate for Maui. Oprah has been claiming to be many things since this Maui backlash thing has started. A good boss, a charitable woman, and an advocate for the island of Maui. By starting this fund and donating her spare millions, she's made her mark in the public as a woman who cares, so much so that she's asking you to give her your money. Isn't that nice? As mentioned in previous videos, Oprah would not care about Maui or its people if she didn't have a vested stake on the island. Oprah's had property in Maui for quite some time, being almost a second home to her. When the fire started raging, she started fundraising. Think about all of the things that have happened in the past few years. We all forgot about Australia being set on fire in 2020. A lot of Western Canada was on fire earlier this year, and some parts of Florida have been underwater for a long time, and they just kind of live with it. Yet Oprah has dedicated her time and money to helping out the area where she has a vacation home. Do with that that what you will. Number 9. The NDAs. Confidentiality agreements are not uncommon in the world of Hollywood. Marvel will literally track you down if you say anything about their movies to anyone. In Kitty Kelly's tell-all book about Oprah, the author mentions there were confidentiality agreements that co-workers and guests were made to sign. This included everyone from Tom Cruise to the guy who made his breakfast in the morning. Over 500 staff members were forced to sign these documents, with one former employee, Elizabeth Cody, trying to write a book about her time working for Oprah, but she was eventually stopped by the courts, still being tied to the agreement. The NDAs were not meant to be a way to just keep show secrets safe, but any and all of Oprah's secrets as well. According to Elizabeth, the document was signed by almost everybody in Oprah's life, and she may have had this brand of sweetness and kindness, but that it was just not how she was. Elizabeth felt that she was in Oprah's pocket after she signed the paperwork. In 2010, there was even a lawsuit filed against Oprah and her company from a training performance center that was claiming that they were fired for violating the terms of her agreement, but all they did was just advertise that they were doing stuff for her show, so I'm not sure what's wrong there. Number 8. Diva. On air, Oprah is portrayed as this wholesome, sweet lady, but according to her stepmother, there's actually this unknown side to Oprah, hidden from fans for years. According to Barbara, Oprah is one of the most controlling people that you're ever gonna meet. She claims that Oprah does not allow herself and her husband to stay at Oprah's home whenever they try to visit, which means that they have to stay in hotels with money out of their own pockets. Barbara also said that Oprah was very quick to anger when it came to her staff especially, with a lot of people being fired over the years left and right for the littlest things. But that's not all. Despite being a billionaire, Barbara allows Oprah to stay at her home when she visits, which she just complains about the entire time. The first time she ever stayed there, Oprah allegedly complained that her bed sheets weren't 1,000 threads and that her bath towel wasn't big enough, but that's fair. This woman has billions of dollars to do literally anything she wants, and what she wants to do is make her family feel like a burden to the world. Number 7. Controversial beliefs. Oprah has had plenty of controversial people onto her show, from so-called medical experts to psychologists to celebrities. Whatever's good for TV, it's good for Oprah. One particular incident that caused a ton of backlash for Oprah was when she did an interview with Suzanne Summers. She was brought onto the show to share her beauty secrets on how she was able to look so young. According to Summers, this treatment that she does on a regular basis would help people. She claimed that she rubs estrogen cream into her skin on one arm and smears progesterone into the other arm. Progesterone is just a fancy way of saying steroids. She also claimed that she took 60 supplements and vitamins a day, 40 in the morning and 20 before bed. What really stirred the pot was that this woman claimed to be a health expert and self-help author, but surprise surprise, doctor she was not! Medical experts started bashing Oprah, claiming that this type of extreme hormone therapy was actually the cause of several diseases and illnesses, like cancer. Despite Suzanne's claims that her specially made non-FDA approved bioidenticals were natural and safe, they were actually just synthetic conventional hormones that you could buy from a pharmacy. A little label smacked on the front. Oprah did everything in her power to sell this idea to her audience, believing 100% that these methods were useful, even claiming to have used the methods to make herself feel incredible. So Oprah would rather risk her audience getting cancer than telling them the truth. Solid. Number 6. The free cars. Who could forget Oprah's famous words? You get a car, you get a car, everybody got a car! The moment was historical on her series and was parodied time and time again, and it still does to this day. However, what a lot of people do not know is that it wasn't as simple as here's some car keys, go have fun. That would be insane. No, when someone gives you anything on television, especially if it's free, there's a catch. For Oprah's audience, the catch was that if they wanted to drive away in their brand new car, they'd have to pay over $7,000 in taxes first. While Oprah's studio would cover the sales tax and registration for the cars, their audience members were given a choice to either pay $7 grand and take the car, or just simply keep that cash instead. The famous moment she shouted this on the show featured 11 real teachers who were, according to Oprah, in desperate need of a new car. They, along with the audience members, received keys in a box on camera that Oprah claimed to be for their new cars. Everything has a catch though, even now. For someone who was known for being charitable and generous, the word free really does mean something different to Oprah. Number 5. The fabricated memoirs. This is a time when Oprah kind of ruined someone's life when she brought them onto her show. Oprah launched her book club in 1996, a reading encouraging segment from her talk show that turned any book that she chose into a bestseller. In September 2005, Winfrey picked A Million Little Pieces, a brutal and painful memoir by James Frett about his years-long struggle with substance control issues. A Million Little Pieces became the best-selling nonfiction book of that year, and Frey was asked to appear on her talk show to discuss the book that Oprah called gut-wrenching. However, the following year, a news outlet ran a very expositive article about Frey after it was discovered that he made up or juiced large portions of his memoir. For example, there is a section of the book that tells a story of Frey surviving a fatal train crash that took the lives of 2 teenagers. Well, he was never on that train and he didn't have anything to do with that situation. He just wrote about it and was like, I was there. Weeks after the article broke, Oprah asked Frey to return to the show, where he faced livid viewers and an even more livid Oprah. She told James that she felt duped and betrayed, which was a feeling that was shared by her audience and millions of readers around the world. When she asked James why he felt the need to lie to herself and her readers, he tried everything, making every excuse he could think of, and he claimed that he altered a lot of details, but that the overall plot was real. Well, the studio audience responded with a massive wave of boos, gasps, and groans, and Winfrey later apologized for the mistreatment from her audience, because that wasn't her intention. But the damage was already done, and this dude's career as a writer is non-existent. Number 4. Lance Armstrong. 7-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong has gone down in history as a man who's unable to ride a bike without chemical training wheels. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2013, Lance was brought on to discuss the allegations floating around regarding his status as a Tour de France winner. Several sources claimed that Lance had to take performance-enhancing substances to win each and every race, as well as a type of transfusion involving the red life juice that flows inside all of us. Armstrong went on air and fessed up to every single thing that people were claiming he had done. However, he did deny the notion that he was like a mastermind who would control his teammates and force them to join in his extracurricular activities. But amidst his admission of guilt, say that 10 times fast, there was a moment where he tried to pin the situation on his battle with cancer. He wraps it up by saying that he should have tried harder to cancel the culture rather than to create a problem. Well, unfortunately for him, he was stripped of all 7 Tour de France titles and has since lived in exile among the cycling community. Number 3. Where's the beef? In spring of 1996, the United Kingdom apparently experienced an outbreak of bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease, since I can't pronounce that last word. According to the FDA, the disease destroys cows' central nervous system, and if humans eat the infected meat, you get zombies that can't No, you can contract a deadly variant called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, probably named after the first dude who got the disease. During the mad cow scare, the Oprah Winfrey Show booked Howard Lyman. The former cattle rancher had adopted a vegetarian lifestyle, and he went to work for the Humane Society's Eating with Co-Science Animal Welfare campaign, and he appeared on the show to discuss the threat of mad cows to America. He pointed out that feeding the remains of mad cow to infected cattle or other animals could have facilitated the spread, and that a lot of that was happening in the US right then and there. Oprah was stunned and vowed that she would never eat another burger ever again. Well, it turns out her influence and her millions of viewers were so large that only a few hours after the episode aired and she declared that she wasn't eating hamburgers ever again, the price of beef stock plummeted, staying at an all-time low for 2 months. In fact, one Texas rancher lost an estimated $6.7 million and organized a class action lawsuit against Oprah and her show for talking trash about beef. After a 6-week trial, she won, leaving one dude with no farm and out hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Number 2. Trespasser. So, there's a video circulating the internet that a lot of people are interpreting as a direct message to Oprah Winfrey. Jason Momoa released a video on his Instagram a few weeks ago urging tourists not to come to Maui as the place was on fire and, they didn't need anybody's help. He claimed that he appreciated anyone sharing love for the people of Maui and continued to say that there was someone trying to scam people out of money that was pretending to be him online. After sharing links to several sites that were directly linked to putting money into the pockets of the people of Maui, fans decided to focus on the bit about people staying away. Now, at the same time that this was happening, Oprah and The Rock had announced the People's Fund of Maui, and the thing was that caused a lot of backlash for Oprah. And in Jason's video, he does not include a link to the charity and doesn't even acknowledge its existence. He has since spoken about the charity, but has never actually said the names Oprah or Dwayne out loud. People are just putting 2 and 2 together though, and the internet has decided that Jason Momoa has called Oprah Winfrey a trespasser. Number 1. Whoopi Goldberg. In author Kitty Kelly's unauthorized Oprah biography, Kelly claims that Whoopi Goldberg became a persona non grata, or an unwelcome person in Oprah's life, after Whoopi was nominated for an Oscar for her role in The Color Purple. The book noted that following the honor, the comedian never appeared on Oprah's show again and was noticeably shunned from her 2006 Legends Ball. It wasn't until Oprah invited the entire cast of The Color Purple onto the show that the so-called feud was addressed. It turns out that Oprah had actually ran into Whoopi at Tyler Perry's party sometime after the 2000 2006 snub. Goldberg confronted Oprah, leading to a hilariously adorable moment where Oprah asked why Whoopi was mad at her, to which Whoopi was like, "I'm not mad at you, I thought you were mad at me, what's going on here?" They mutually agreed that they really should have just picked up the phone a long time ago and figured the whole thing out and settled the dispute.
Starting off our countdown is Miley Cyrus. She has talked about her Disney experience on more than one occasion, revealing the struggles she faced after taking on the epic role of Hannah Montana. Throughout her career, Miley has shared that she struggled with an eating disorder as a young girl and that she felt wearing makeup and a wig every day was the definition of what it meant to be a pop star. It was difficult for her to really find herself as Miley because the world knew her as Hannah Montana. Her mom is still her manager to this day, and she also admitted that Disney was not always the best to work for. She said she started understanding how many people were taking advantage of her young daughter and revealed that Miley was grossly, her quote, underpaid. It even came to light that Miley didn't even own her name during that time. Since her character outside of Hannah Montana was actually Miley Stewart on the show, they actually had rights to her name, Miley. Many reasons led up to her decision to quit in 2010, and even though she had a tough experience as a kid, she recently said she would totally do a reboot. But maybe now it's different because she's an adult, she can handle the Disney network. Coming up next, number 9 is Joe Jonas. He was just one of the brothers from the boy band The Jonas Brothers, but he took on the lead role in the Disney movies Camp Rock. In recent years, Joe wrote a piece for Vulture which highlighted his time at Disney. In the piece, he revealed that he and his brothers always had to sugarcoat their music and lives to maintain their innocent Disney persona. He said their lyrics actually had to be reviewed and approved by the Disney team, and if anything was too sexual or provoking, then they were told to change it. That was actually one of the main reasons that they decided to quit. He also said that Disney controlled their creativity too much and he started to feel like one of their puppets. For any young child star wanting a music career outside of Disney, this would have been a good warning for them. Outside of the personality image that they had to maintain, he also hated the fact that he had to shave every single day to play a role that was much younger than he was in real life. That would suck as a man. Moving on to number 8, we have Hilary Duff. There have been a lot of conflicting stories about what exactly led to her decision to leave Disney and her lead role as Lizzie McGuire. But fans got some kind of confirmation back in 2003 when her mom did an interview with Entertainment Weekly and claimed it had to do with her paycheck. Susan Duff claimed that Disney was trying to bully her daughter into accepting whatever offer they wanted to make for a sequel to the Lizzie McGuire movie. Her mom said that Hilary ended up walking away from the sequel, but then Disney walked away from the whole franchise. Hilary also spoke about it and said that it really had an effect on her mental health, which is why she chose to bow out for a while. She said, "I was just making records and touring and making movies and then doing it all over again. By the end of it, I was like, I'm done. I don't enjoy this anymore. I'm not who I want to be." So I guess Disney is not paying their stars enough is what I am starting to realize. Sliding into spot number 7 is Selena Gomez. The Wizards of Waverly Place star left her Disney days behind and had no problem explaining to her fans why. It was a pretty simple explanation and was the classic case of feeling the pressure to live up to that innocent Disney image. She told the New York Times, "I was being held to this expectation of being the good girl. I knew deep down that this wasn't what I wanted to do, being exhausted of forcing something that wasn't right." According to Refinery29, she decided to break away from Disney and actually signed a new contract with Interscope instead. At that point, she allegedly let go of her mother acting as her manager and also had split up with her then boyfriend, Justin Bieber. This was a very big moment in her career, and that is when she released her album, Revival. Once the album was out, she admitted it was the first time that she could breathe and no longer felt like she had to maintain the Disney guidelines. No one really realized just how bad her time with Disney was, and fans were shocked to hear her admit that it actually made her depressed and put her in a really low spot in her life. Rolling into number 6 is Dylan and Cole Sprouse. The twins took over the Disney Channel with their hit show The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and then The Sweet Life on Deck. From the outside looking in, it seemed like they had the world in their hands. But they suddenly left the Disney Network behind, and fans were shocked to learn their show would not continue. The boys have opened up about what happened and said they tried to pitch a spin-off idea to the Disney team, but they shut it down. Dylan explained and said, "When we had pitched our idea, it was kind of the situation where they had almost laughed in our faces." He then said Disney came back to them a year later with an idea that was essentially the same thing as their original pitch. That is when he said he and his brother Cole basically laughed in their face and walked out. That was the last meeting they ever had with Disney, and despite having years-long relationship with them, things ended up leaving on a very icy note. They have no problem warning others that Disney might steal your ideas, so keep them to yourself. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Rowan Blanchard. She gained a massive fan base from her time on the newer Disney show Girl Meets World. Fans were crushed when the series was cancelled after their ratings dropped. Forbes reported that the show lost around 3.6 million viewers between season 1 and season 3. But the one thing that people always loved was Rowan and the fact that she prompted the idea of intersectional feminism. Despite her young age, she rallied for the Me Too movement and openly discussed her sexuality. She made a conscious decision back in 2017 to part ways with Disney following the cancellation of the show. She did an interview with W Magazine and said she left because she felt controlled by them. But she didn't exactly say the name Disney Network, probably to protect herself, but people could piece it together. She said, "I worked for a corporation for 4 years that is known for silencing and crafting your voice. So with that, I just had to very much stand my ground and separate myself, which I think I did." She now says that she loves that she's not recognized anymore for her Disney character, but she's now recognized for her activism. In spot number 4 is Raven-Symoné. Fans were devastated when Raven left Disney for a while after her TV series That's So Raven became a massive success. But she shocked everyone when she signed on to do a spin-off of the original show called Raven's Home at 33 years old. Fans really didn't believe that she would work with Disney ever again, thinking that there was bad blood between them, but turns out there wasn't. Kind of. She did admit to feeling the pressure of having to try and fit the mold of Raven from the show, and not who she was in real life, which is also Raven. When she came out in 2016, she revealed that Disney was always very accepting of her and her sexuality, but that people involved in the network weren't. She explained that during the last season of That's So Raven, she wore jeans and a vest and tie, and one of the members went up to her mom and said, "She looks too much like a lesbian. Can you tell her to put on a skirt and makeup? Because then they'll accept her and come to her concert." As we know from other examples on this list, fitting the Disney look can add a lot of pressure to someone, especially someone who felt like they couldn't really express who they really were. Luckily, Disney has been more supportive and inclusive with the LGBTQ community since her original show. Taking over number 3, we have Shia LaBeouf. If you followed his career, you would see that he is definitely one to experiment with new projects and avenues. But there was a route he refused to go down when he was working with Disney on the classic show Even Stevens. He did an interview with MTV and said that he stopped working with Disney because they were very controlling over where his career was headed. Turns out they wanted him to start a music career. When looking at Disney, most of their stars started out with acting and then went into singing as their career grew. Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Hilary Duff, to name a few. Even Raven-Symoné. During his interview with MTV, he said, "I never came out with a music thing, even though Disney will push you that way." He went on to say that he always felt out of place at Disney and never felt like he truly belonged. Can you guys just imagine, like, Shia LaBeouf as a singer? Oh, what a world. Taking over the number 2 spot is Demi Lovato. The singer has always been open about her struggles with mental illness and addiction, but that was not always the case. She wasn't very transparent back in her Disney days when she starred on Sunny with a Chance and Camp Rock. In more recent interviews, she has revealed that she struggled with bulimia after getting bullied for her weight while working on Disney. She said she was performing concerts on an empty stomach and started self-medicating for her depression. The pressures of her Disney career quickly caught up to her, which might be why she was so angry in 2012 when Disney Channel made a joke in one of their scripts about eating disorders. Demi lashed out at them on Twitter and tweeted, "I find it really funny how a company can lose one of their actresses from the pressures of an eating disorder and yet still make jokes about that very disease." They responded immediately and said that they were removing both episodes that included the jokes and said it was never their intention to make light of eating disorders. In our number 1 spot, spot is Bella Thorne. This story of Bella has become famous ever since she shared it with her fans. She found fame as a young child on the Disney TV series Shake It Up, but it was cancelled in 2013 despite being the #1 series in 2 demographics. People thought she was going to stay with Disney and move on to her next project, but it seemed like she was fed up with taking orders from them. After leaving the network, Bella revealed that one time they threatened to fire her after she posted a photo of herself wearing a black bikini. They ended up telling her mom that they cannot afford to fire her at that point, but if she does anything like that again, they will. The worst part about the whole thing was that Bella's mom was the one who bought her that bikini. Once this story came to surface, Bella opened up more about her Disney experience and said she was forced to talk with a higher voice so that she would appeal to Disney's demographic. Even off the show, like during interviews and press, she was asked to change her tone. For anyone who does not follow Bella, she naturally has a deeper voice. Long story short, Bella stopped tolerating the demands and went on to pursue a very different career. She's now acting full-time, putting out music, and is also running an OnlyFans company. No lie.
Number 10, Chadwick Boseman. The late great Chadwick Boseman was not just an incredible performer, but an incredible man. In his early years of acting, no matter what his status was, he was always vocal about the things that he did not agree with or understand. During a commencement speech to the graduating class of 2018 at his alma mater, Howard University, he spoke about a time when he was fired from a show for questioning the producers about the stereotypical depiction of his character. At first he was excited, as he was promised a 6-figure contract, more money than he'd ever seen in his life. However, the moment he saw the role that he was playing, he was conflicted. The role was wrapped up in assumptions about people of color. He said that the character was just a young man with a violent streak pulled into the allure of gangs and with zero glimpse of positivity or talent in the character. After filming a handful of episodes, Chadwick brought his concerns to the attention of the producers, who told him that they were very pleased with his performance, a performance that he was actually fired from the next day. Apparently, the things that he was asking caught the producers off guard. The conversation over the character actually came up when he was called into the production office, and they were very happy with what he'd been doing on the show, and it was clear they wanted him around for a long time. But when they asked him if he needed anything to be more comfortable, it was his opening. He asked them if they could just discuss his character a bit for plot purposes, asking them only 2 questions. Where is my father? And if my mother is not equipped to be a good parent, why did myself and my brother need to go to foster care? While the producers did have answers, when Chadwick asked if they felt that he was a stereotypical character at all, the producers stared for a moment before suggesting that he speak to the writers if he had any suggestions. The goal was to give his character a new lease on life, but the next day, he was fired for speaking his mind, something he's never regretted once, and that never stopped him from pursuing his dreams. Number 9, Sylvester Stallone. Considering the success of the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, it's difficult to imagine anyone else in the leading role of Alex Foley other than Eddie Murphy. But it turns out that at the time, the role was initially offered to one of the biggest stars of the 1980s, Sylvester Stallone. What's funny still is that at the time he was not just a skilled actor, but earning an Oscar nomination for Best Original Screenplay for Rocky. But it seems that Rocky and the studio didn't really agree on many things, and eventually Stallone was exited from the project. One of the first major changes in Sly's version of the script was the violence. He wanted it to be ramped up to 100 and make it a real action movie. But the film was presented to him as a comedy. Even though he agreed to do it, he wanted to make some changes before the cameras rolled. He was exclusively told not to change anything about the film, but he insisted and rewrote the project as a 50-50 action comedy movie. When he presented the changes to the producers, they were not pleased with his script, in fact quite the opposite. It was quickly decided that Sylvester would be let go as the lead and Eddie Murphy would be brought in to fill in the blanks. It was not in vain, as he took that mangled script, incorporated elements of the novel Fair Game by Paula Gosling, and eventually it became the 1986 film Cobra. Although it wasn't loved by critics, it did go on to make around $160 million globally, which pretty good at the time. Number 8, Edward Norton. 3-time Academy Award nominee Edward Norton has been the leading man in many memorable movies. Primal Fear, American History X, and of course the most famous one, but as we all know, but of course, one of his most famous and mainstream roles was in the 2008 MCU flick, The Incredible Hulk. Although the movie was not a massive success at first, the audience was shocked when Edward Norton was replaced by Mark Ruffalo in the first Avengers film. The president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, said that the decision was not monetary, but it was actually due to the company wishing to hire an actor who embodied the creativity and collaboration that the other Marvel stars had so far shown on their projects. After Kevin made these statements, However, Norton was amicable but adamant about splitting ways with Marvel, and mentioned that his roles in Birdman and Moonrise Kingdom would oppose the loud and extravagant role that he had in the MCU. Many believe that his calm response may be because he was paid handsomely before he was let go as a little bit of hush money. Marvel is good at hiding secrets, especially from their actors, but it was still so early in the MCU that Edward was certainly aware of hidden details and events that would make him a liability in the industry. Number 7. Colin Firth. The live-action Paddington movies are surprisingly very popular. The series, based on the children's book, has really hit home for a lot of people. First and second film are currently rated at 97% and 99% fresh, respectively. 99. The success of the film can of course be attributed to the incredible cast, including the voice of Paddington, Ben Whishaw. But of course, Ben was not the first voice that had been recorded for the role. Initially, the voice of Paddington was done by Kingsman star Colin Firth. I know he's been in other things, but I love those movies and that's how I know him best. Not only did Colin record all of the lines start to finish, but he was not told that he was being replaced until a couple of months before the premiere. In some of the first promotional videos for the film, the animated bear never does anything more than grunt. It turns out that the creative team felt Colin's voice just didn't match with the vibe that they were going for. It made Paddington sound too old and distinguished when he needed to be some fresh young thing. Yeah, he was just happy to be working. Now let's get into some more dark Hollywood backstories, shall we? Number 6. Jim Carrey's origins. A Canadian legend, Jim is considered one of the greatest modern comedians of all time, famously releasing 3 films in the year 1995, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura, which all made millions at the box office, and still hold up to this day. As many know, comedians tend to have a pretty rough backstory, as the best comedy comes from a place of pain. Over the years, Jim has come clean about his strange but fun upbringing. His family struggled financially, and he grew up watching his mother struggle with depression, which he claims to have passed down to him. Despite his energy, he was a bit of a recluse growing up and apparently spent hours in his room making faces in the mirror instead of hanging out with. After dropping out of high school to work a full-time job, Jim and his family were forced to live in a Volkswagen van together, becoming homeless for a short period of time. He went on to attempt a career in comedy, at first to minimal success, but of course, he was able to find his footing and made his place in comedy history. Number 5. Woody Harrelson's father. Woody is best known in Hollywood as the wildest wild child to ever exist. He eats raw meat, he's an eco-crusader, a protester against violence, and an advocate for the legalization of herbs and spices in the United States. He's loved on screen, but did you know that his father took people out for money? And I'm not talking about on dates. Charles Harrelson was sentenced to 2 lifetime sentences for the slaying of a federal judge in San Antonio. Prior to that charge, Charles had previously been acquitted for the slaying of Alan Berg, a carpet salesman, and convicted of the slaying of Sam DeGalia Jr. Yeah, the evidence shows that Charles was not a great hitman. Woody doesn't speak much of his father these days, opting to instead leave his family troubles in the past. He does, however, say that the one thing that his father said to him that he still uses to this day was, always keep an open mind. Yeah, Charles knew all about opening minds. You can't put that in the video, that's just for the editor.
I just did.
Number 4, Mark Wahlberg should be in jail. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch hit the rap scene in 1991. Despite sounding like the title of a cheesy kids show, the crew had a small following and garnered a lot of success, enough for leading man Mark Wahlberg to be spotted and picked up by Hollywood to star in The Corruptor, a 1999 action flick that sees Mark playing the leading man. Action by the numbers, kinda get it? He's had a successful acting career that has recently been declining in quality, but he's still acting and looks jacked at the age of 50-something. So please don't hurt me, Mark Wahlberg. Infinite was just hard to watch. Growing up in Boston, he was the youngest of 9 children and was relentlessly bullied by his fellow siblings. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he became addicted to no-no snow by the age of 13. He dropped out of high school and was eventually arrested when he was 18 for attempting to slay 2 Vietnamese men. Apparently, he was just walking home late one night under the influence of a hallucinogen narcotic that I won't get into, when he spotted the men. Close friends at the time confirmed that Mark had a racial biased upbringing, which caused him to be instantly aggressive towards anyone who, wasn't white. He attempted to swing a large log at them, which made contact and knocked one of them unconscious, and he was eventually released after serving only 45 days of his 2-year prison sentence, and he vowed to change his life. So far, he's kept that promise. I can personally confirm that he's very polite and patient because he actually watched a movie at a theater I used to work at. He travels with a crew of 5 people at all times. It's a little intimidating. Number 3, Tim Allen's hobbies. Tim Allen is the voice of Buzz Lightyear and the star of ABC's sitcom Home Improvement, which premiered in 1991. Now, while he may have played a family man on TV, many fans may not know that Tim was a smuggler of no-no snow in the early 1970s. According to Tim, he got mixed up with some bad people back in the day while he was selling certain substances on the street for a couple of bucks. In 1978, Tim was arrested in the Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport, that's an awesome name, and was caught with more than 650 grams, 1.4 pounds of no-no snow. Unfortunately for Tim, state legislators had just passed a law that tied a life sentence to any conviction of selling 650 or more. Like, as he was being arrested, there was a guy in his car like, okay, and if you have 650 grams. Okay, yeah, you're a goner, Tim. However, that sentence was never served, as it was revealed that Tim was set up by an undercover police officer who had been following him for months. Due to this, and Tim's cooperation in providing the names of fellow dealers to the authorities, led to him receiving a lighter conviction that allowed him to be sentenced in a federal court instead of a state one, being able to ignore that new policy altogether. His information led to 20 arrests and the sentencing of a major dealer. That needs to be a movie. Number 2, they have backups. There have been many rumors over the years that Hollywood likes to clone their best and brightest on the off chance that they will need them again following an untimely demise. According to the internet, Paul Rudd actually got to star alongside his clone in the show Living With Yourself, not some CGI thing. Now, Paul has, of course, claimed the performance was achieved with CGI and filming one character one day and another the next, but come on, Paul Rudd's also 54 and looks, well, like that. Something's not right about that. Now, there is a theory out there that celebrities are made up of lizard people who take the forms of actors and singers to influence people. Paul is thought to be one of those lizard people. I don't know. I don't believe this theory. I'm just sharing some stuff I found on the internet. I don't believe any of this, okay? This is fun. It would be awesome if there were 2 Paul Rudds, though. In fact, that would probably be the most chill way to find out that clones existed. Just 2 Pauls being like, hi, I'm Paul. And another one being like, hi, I'm Paul. And everything's gonna be okay. Number 1, they're all broke. That's right, despite it being one of the most lucrative industries in the world, most of Hollywood actors, writers, directors, all of them are not as well off as people may think. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last little bit, most of Hollywood was closed for a while as its staff were on strike. Some of the toppest of tier actors joined the crew in solidarity, and they are actually still on strike right now, not stopping until Hollywood's producers and big budget studios start sharing the money they make. Actor Sean Gunn gave an interview a few weeks ago where he mentioned working on a show currently streaming on Netflix, a show that has made over $4 million in residuals, of which he has received basically nothing. This type of financial woe extends to a ton of people in Hollywood. Just wanted to take a moment to wish luck to anyone who's still out there, and hey, awesome that the writer part of the strike is over. That's pretty sick. Number 10, Katy Perry collects hair. The singer was once asked during an interview a very simple and cute question of, "What's in your purse?" And fans perhaps hoped that she would respond with a bottle of Killer Queen or a cupcake crumb. But Katy Perry answered, it's just a big empty bag. But she went on to describe what used to be in the purse. She claimed that while in attendance at her first Grammy Awards ceremony, she got to share a dressing room with Miley Cyrus and Taylor Swift. Now, with all that excitement, you'd think she'd ask for a picture or something, right? No, she asked them for a lock of each of their hairs, which Katy found, quote, totally awesome. Well, her definition of the word awesome must be very different from ours, because this sounds just creepy as all heck. She then elaborated that she would tie little bows to each of them and put them in her purse. Now this sounds so made up, how could it be true? Well, Miley and Taylor actually backed up this story online, and Perry claims to this day that Miley Cyrus is both the most famous person in her purse and in her contacts. Oh, hey, Katie, I think you dropped something. Number 9, Ellen mistreats employees. In her first on-air appearance since announcing the end of her eponymous daytime talk show, Ellen DeGeneres called the press cycle around allegations of toxicity at her workplace orchestrated and misogynistic. The announcement that her show would be canceled came after months of receiving negative press following a BuzzFeed article reporting former employees alleging that the environment was racially insensitive, filled with harassment and bullying. Ellen maintained in interviews that these allegations were not the reason that she would be leaving the show, simply claiming that the program was no longer challenging for her. While the BuzzFeed report did not allege toxic behavior by Ellen herself, several former staff members claimed that the whole "be kind" motto she had was not genuine at all, which was reflected in a Twitter thread published by comedian Kevin T. Porter. He asked people to send in their horror stories about the host's rudeness over the years, and he received over 2,000 replies. Warner Brothers opened an investigation and concluded that there were some flaws in the day-to-day management at the studio. Following this, Ellen appeared on the 18th season premiere of her show in 2020 and made an on-air apology to viewers, claiming responsibility, later stating that there was no way she could know the true nature of the work environment due to the 255 employees that worked for her across multiple buildings. Hey, ever heard of like a complaint box? Number 8. Prince Charles's affair. He's now the King of England, but he's not always played by the rules. You see, in 1981, Prince Charles, at the time, married Lady Diana, who was 20 years old at the time, leaving a 13-year age gap between them. Behind closed doors, it was speculated that Charles was never in love with Diana in the first place, and it was later proven to be true. While on the outside things seemed pleasant, behind the scenes, Charles was secretly meeting up and having an affair with his ex-girlfriend Camilla Bowles. The alleged relationship was written about in the 1992 Diana Her True Story book, but in 1994, Charles confirmed the allegations in a documentary, because that's a great place to do that. The couple filed for a divorce in 1996, and Diana died 1 year later. While the now king made it clear that he had no plans to remarry, he ended up getting remarried in 2005 to, oh hey, look, it's Camilla Bowles. Shocking. Number 7. Jonathan Majors charges. Jonathan Majors may be familiar to those of you who are fans of the MCU as Kang the Conqueror, the newest big bad addition to the never-ending roster of villains in Marvel's Rogue Gallery. Unfortunately, it looks like he may end up getting the CGI eraser treatment due to an incident in March of this year. Majors was arrested on misdemeanor charges of and following a domestic dispute with his girlfriend. These charges, however, would only be the first domino to fall, as rumors began circulating about similar instances in the past, with many people in both the Yale community, where he went to school, and the New York theater scene, where he studied and practiced performing, claiming Majors was well known for being emotionally violent and professionally abusive, but never physically violent. While Majors is currently in a battle to prove his innocence, claiming the situation to have been blown out of proportions, a series of texts uncovered by his lawyer seemingly proved that there was some merit to the incident. They showed Majors' girlfriend had passed out during the incident and as such had to be hospitalized, where she was reported to have several bruises and scratch marks throughout her entire body. This meant that the charges would stick, and Majors is definitely on his way to the bottomless pit of cancelled celebrities. Number 6. Caitlyn Jenner's transition. Now, this one isn't disturbing because of Caitlyn, it's because of how many people felt that her business needed to be a part of their lives. Let people live, you jerks. Rumors had been circulating of Caitlyn's transition since the early 1970s. The former Olympian had publicly denied these rumors for years, with many family members and friends even backing her story up time and time again. But in 2015, the rumors had begun surfacing again due to Jenner being spotted leaving a doctor's office by a tabloid journalist, supposedly after just receiving estrogen treatments. Jenner had also recently undergone reconstructive surgery, which seemed to only add more fuel to the fire. The photo taken and the speculation began to go viral, despite Jenner not being fully out at the time. But a few months later, following these events, she came out as transgender on a highly publicized interview for Diane Sawyer. In the interview, Jenner expressed the gender identity struggles that she has faced through her entire life, having to hide her true self in order to maintain some macho, sporty persona, and for fear of not being accepted. Even revealing that her first wife, Christy Scott, was the first to really understand her struggles, and despite being divorced in 1998, she's publicly expressed her well wishes towards Caitlyn and how proud she is for being herself. You go, girl. Number 5. Kevin Spacey. For a long time, Kevin Spacey was well known in the Hollywood community as a quality actor with a steady career and no signs of that stopping. That was until October 2017, when a BuzzFeed article, once again, had been published alleging that Spacey had made unwanted advances towards a then 14 Anthony Rapp. Spacey was quick to deny the speculation, claiming it to be another Hollywood scandal to fill screen time, but since the release of that article, 30 more people have come forward with their own allegations against Spacey, ranging from harassment to attempted assault. Spacey pulled back, fake apologizing for what he says must have been some drunken behavior to rap, and he even attempted to shift the subject by coming out of the closet. But the truth had already been set free, and becoming a part of the now famous Me Too movement, Spacey was dropped from all projects he was involved in and has been on Hollywood's blacklist ever since, where he rightfully belongs. Number 4. Tiger Woods' infidelity. Since 1999, the famous golfer had not gone a single year without winning at least one golf major championship. In fact, between the years of 1997 and 2008, he had won 14 majors. He was married to a model, had a beautiful home, and pockets full of cash. What more could you want? Apparently for Tiger, he wanted someone that wasn't his wife. In late November 2009, Tiger was seen by neighbors being chased out of his home by his wife, Ellen Nordegren, with a golf club, before peeling out of his driveway in his Escalade and crashing into a fire hydrant and then a tree. He lied unconscious on the street for 6 minutes before coming to, but by that time, it was already too late. News coverage began speculating that there must have been some case of infidelity with Tiger and his wife. And while rumors had speculated that Tiger had a mistress on the side, it turned out that this guy had a lady in every course, so to speak. He admitted on air to the misdoings and lost his endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, Gillette, and Accenture, before announcing his retirement entirely from golf. Woods reportedly confessed to sleeping with 120 women outside of his marriage, but it wasn't until April 2010 when Ellen decided to split up with Woods for good after she discovered that one of those mistresses was the next door neighbor's daughter who was in college at the time. Go Capanu! Number 3. John Lennon's investigation. Lead guitarist of the Beatles and an incredible musician in his own right, John Lennon was always very open on his political views. He was anti-war, anti-establishment, and anti-government, proven by his counterculture-esque songs like Give Peace a Chance. This marked Lennon as a national threat, and his theory on what that meant was a little fishy. Many times in interviews, he would claim that he was under surveillance 24/7 and that he was seeing the same cars driving near his residence essentially every day. Now, while at first this was taken as the ramblings of a hippie under the influence of mind-altering narcotics, this theory was proven to be true in 1972 when the Immigration and Naturalization Service tried to deport him after the FBI had confirmed that Lennon was under investigation for over a year. He was able to fight back and stay in the country to continue his anti-war agenda. See, hippies aren't always crazy. Okay? Number 2. Arnold has a secret kid. Action movie star and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger made headlines in 2011 with the revelation that an old rumor was in fact true. In 1996, Arnold was married to Maria Shriver, a member of the Kennedy family, and they were prepping to welcome their new son Christopher into the world. Arnie didn't prep by building cribs or baby-proofing the outlets though. Instead, he chose to have an affair with his longtime housekeeper Mildred Baina. Around the same time Christopher was born, so was his illegitimate son, Joseph. Rumors began to rise after his wife noticed the strange and sudden absence of the housekeeper and wondered if there may have been a more sinister reason for her departure. It was later revealed in 2011 though that Arnold decided to address the rumors and claim Joseph as his own. It turns out that Arnold had given Mildred a large severance package so that she could properly raise their son, leaving on what they called good terms. Eventually though, after many years of trying and lots of paperwork, Maria and Arnold were finally divorced and he is now able to spend more time as a father. Mildred is a chef and little Joseph is now all grown up and following in his father's footsteps as both a model and in the movie industry. And number 1. Donald Trump's criminal activities. In 2006, Donald Trump was known solely as a wealthy real estate mogul with a hit reality show called The Apprentice. He had recently been married to Melania Trump and he had a newly born 4-month-old baby. However, reports leaked that Trump was in the midst of an affair with adult film star Stormy Daniels after she filed a civil suit claiming that the contract he made her sign to keep quiet was invalid. Daniels claimed that herself and Trump had shared a very intimate relationship for roughly a year during his marriage to Melania. These weren't the first allegations of an affair, as Trump has been back and forth in the media since the 1970s, being accused by 26 women of harassment or misconduct. While these rumors never held any merit at first, the truth was finally set free. After being the most chaotic president in recent history, it was announced in March that Trump was being arrested on 34 separate violations of a New York law against falsifying business documents to conceal another crime. Basically, over the years, he was essentially
taking company money and using it to pay off anyone who might have been a threat to him, both personally and politically. Well, hey, thanks for the free money, Donnie. We'll see you never.
And at number 10, fake relationships. I think at this point it's clear that most Hollywood relationships are faked for PR. Occasionally these fake relationships actually turn into real love, but most of the time these fake couples split as soon as the movie comes out, making it painfully obvious. One of the most obvious cases of this was the on and off again relationship between Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart during the Twilight days. These two would always be in a relationship when their newest movies were dropping, but then a few weeks after the release, they would break up. Since they split almost immediately after the final Breaking Dawn movie was released, it's clear that it was all a lie. Also, the pair looked so uncomfortable when they were together, and now that we see what they look like in a happy relationship, it's clear that they weren't in one. And at number 9, paid paparazzi. If you've ever wondered why some celebrities look amazing in paparazzi photos while others don't, it's because a lot of celebrities hire their own paparazzi to make sure they never look bad in a photo. The most recent celebrity to get called out for using this tactic was Addison Rae. While Addison was out in New York, she happened to get a ton of great photos of herself out and about in the city, and Page Six called her out for tipping off the paparazzi about her location so she can get a ton of good pictures. Page Six called it, quote, "a move straight out of the introductory course at the Kardashian Institute of Advanced Fame, Grasbury." Apparently Addison specifically wanted good photos of her outfits so that she could become known for her style. This move has long been used by the Kardashians back when they were up and coming, and now it seems that Addison is taking tips from her new friends. And at number 8, fake bodies. It's no secret that almost everyone in Hollywood has had some work done. Usually it's minor things like Botox and fillers to maintain youthfulness, but some celebrities went through major changes before making it big, and these cosmetic procedures were the reason that it all happened. Apparently it's an open secret that celebrities will change their bodies to adapt to the times to maintain marketability. But the worst part is that most celebrities don't own up to these big changes, so fans will think these people are effortlessly perfect, and it starts to impact the everyday person's self-esteem. One of the most common procedures seems to be a nose job, and most celebrities that are deemed au naturel have had it done. Blake Lively, Scarlett Johansson, and Jennifer Aniston are just some of the celebrities that fans are convinced had nose jobs, but they will never admit it to fans who think it's all elite genetics. And at number 7, award show corruption. Many fans assume that Oscars and Grammys are given to those who truly deserve it, but once you pull back the curtain, that's really not how it works. And an open secret is that anyone who wants to win one of these awards must campaign for it and basically bribe the judges. This can be in the form of actual money or things like vacations and expensive gifts. Back in 1981, actress Pia Zendora won the Best Newcomer award for her role in the movie Butterfly. It was a shock to everyone until it was exposed that her husband paid off the voting members to ensure that she won, and over time the practice did not get better. In 2011, publicist Michael Russell sued the Hollywood Foreign Press Association for firing him. He was trying to expose the corruption with the award show, and they didn't like that. The parties settled the dispute out of court. And at number 6, cheating. Movies often take months to film. That's long, grueling hours away from family and friends, stuck with the small same group of people. Because of how it all works, movie sets are breeding grounds for extramarital affairs, especially if you're spending a lot of time with your love interest in the movie that you're hugging and kissing all day on set. There are truly too many examples to name, but there's a solid chance that one of your favorite actors cheated on their spouse during the filming of a hit movie. The most famous are Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Kristen Stewart and director Rupert Sanders during the filming of their project. And obviously, this happens a lot more than it's reported. Halfway number 5, fake names. The vast majority of Hollywood A-listers do not use their real names, instead they concocted a stage name. This is done for a variety of reasons. Sometimes just because their old name isn't as flashy, but other times the reasons are pretty dark. For some examples of celebrities with fake names, Martin Sheen's real name is Raymond Antonio Gerard Estevez, Jamie Foxx's name is Eric Marlon Bishop, and Marilyn Monroe's real name was Norma Jean Mortensen. Then other times a name change can be used to hide nepotism. Like for instance, Nicolas Cage's real name is Nicholas Coppola, and he's the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola, a famous Hollywood director. This familial connection landed Nick Cage his first role in the movie Peggy Sue Got Married. Other times a name change can be to hide racism. Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actor Chloe Bennett, real name Chloe Wang, said, quote, "Hollywood is racist and wouldn't cast me with the last name that made them uncomfortable." And at number 4, stuntmen regularly lose their lives. Stuntmen are a very common thing on movie sets because A-list actors aren't able to do the stunts that we see in a lot of action movies. But fans might not know what a dangerous job that it is. is, and stuntmen regularly get critically injured or even lose their lives. And for how vital their role is to these movies, they are not paid fairly. The average stunt person pulls in about $250K a year, which sounds great, but is nothing compared to the about $20 million that the movie stars are making. Big name stars are obviously the ones that sell the tickets, but they're not the ones who put their lives on the line. During the filming of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Daniel Radcliffe's stunt double David Holmes got hit by a staged explosion, and he was so seriously injured by the fragments that he suffered a neck break that left him fully paralyzed. Then on the set of Deadpool 2, a stuntman lost their life during a car crash scene. And at number 3, substance misuse. Following the release of the biopic Judy, we got to see the horrible practices the movie execs would use to get their talent to do what they wanted, specifically using illicit substances to wake the actors up and keep them on set working for very long hours. According to a 1982 New York Times article, use of these substances became so common that movie insurers would put clauses in their contracts to cut losses from these sorts of incidents, because several deaths and injuries on set stem from the use of these substances. In her 2013 memoir, Debbie Reynolds, the female lead for the 1952 musical Singing in the Rain, recalled that when her grueling schedule started to take a toll on her health, a studio executive told her to quote, take vitamin shots from his doctor. Then Judy Garland revealed her mother would give her quote, pep pills to ensure she had enough energy to film all day. Because of the toll these substances took on her health, Judy unfortunately passed away at the age of 47 because of an OD from these substances. And at number 2, inappropriate behavior runs rampant. So I'm gonna have to dance around the subject a bit for this one, but the things that have been exposed during the Me Too and Time's Up era are not new and have been happening for decades. Harvey Weinstein wasn't the first and only power player in Hollywood to use his power to get women to do what he wanted. And this all goes back to the idea of the quote casting couch, where you are expected to do sexual favors to these executives in exchange for a role. And there are many examples of this behavior taking place in Hollywood. Even worse, this behavior can also happen against one study even found that 94% of women employed in the American film industry have experienced sexual harassment or worse. This is a staggering number that should make everyone push for change. And finally, at number 1, discrimination problem. The problem of diversity in Hollywood is something that's being brought up more and more over the years, and when we look at some of the stats, it's pretty wild. Only one woman has ever won the Oscar for Best Director, and that was Kathryn Bigelow for the 2008 movie The Hurt Locker. Also, only one African American has ever won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay in the history of the Academy. That was Jordan Peele in 2018 for Get Out. But the problem is not only in the cast and crew of the movies, it's the higher up of the business in general. A 2016 Washington Post investigation reported that 96% of Hollywood's decision makers were white and 87% of them were male. Clearly a large gap between those demographics and what we see in society today. A study of 100 movies released in 2016 also showed that about 70% of speaking roles in that year's top 100 films were white, leaving 30% to account for Black, Asian, and Hispanic people. Another shocking stat was that just 31% of speaking characters were female.
Number 10, an advocate for Maui. Oprah has been claiming to be many things since this Maui backlash thing has started. A good boss, a charitable woman, and an advocate for the island of Maui. By starting this fund and donating her spare millions, she's made her mark in the public as a woman who cares, so much so that she's asking you to give her your money. Isn't that nice? As mentioned in previous videos, Oprah would not care about Maui or its people if she didn't have a vested stake on the island. Oprah has had property in Maui for quite some time, being almost a second home to her. When the fire started raging, she started fundraising. Think about all of the things that have happened in the past few years. We all forgot about Australia being set on fire in 2020. A lot of Western Canada was on fire earlier this year, and some parts of Florida have been underwater for a long time, and they just kind of live with it. Yet Oprah has dedicated her time and money to helping out the area where she has a vacation home. Do with that what you will. Number 9, the NDAs. Confidentiality agreements are not uncommon in the world of Hollywood. Marvel will literally track you down if you say anything about their movies to anyone. In Kitty Kelly's tell-all book about Oprah, the author mentions there were confidentiality agreements that co-workers and guests were made to sign. This included everyone from Tom Cruise to the guy who made his breakfast in the morning. Over 500 staff members were forced to sign these documents, with one former employee, Elizabeth Cody, trying to write a book about her time working for Oprah, but she was eventually stopped by the courts, still being tied to the agreement. The NDAs were not meant to be a way to just keep show secrets safe, but any and all of Oprah's secrets as well. According to Elizabeth, the document was signed by almost everybody in Oprah's life, and she may have had this brand of sweetness and kindness, but that it was just not not how she was. Elizabeth felt that she was in Oprah's pocket after she signed the paperwork. In 2010, there was even a lawsuit filed against Oprah and her company from a training performance center that was claiming that they were fired for violating the terms of her agreement, but all they did was just advertise that they were doing stuff for her show, so I'm not sure what's wrong there. Number 8. Diva. On air, Oprah is portrayed as this wholesome, sweet lady, but according to her stepmother, there's actually this unknown side to Oprah, hidden from fans for years. According to Barbara, Oprah is one of the most controlling people that you're ever gonna meet. She claims that Oprah does not allow herself and her husband to stay at Oprah's home whenever they try to visit, which means that they have to stay in hotels with money out of their own pockets. Barbara also said that Oprah was very quick to anger when it came to her staff especially, with a lot of people being fired over the years left and right for the littlest things. But that's not all. Despite being a billionaire, Barbara allows Oprah to stay at her home when she visits, which she just complains about the entire time. The first time she ever stayed there, Oprah allegedly complained that her bed sheets weren't 1,000 threads and that her bath towel wasn't big enough, but that's fair. This woman has billions of dollars to do literally anything she wants, and what she wants to do is make her family feel like a burden to the world. Number 7. Controversial beliefs. Oprah has had plenty of controversial people onto her show, from so-called medical experts to psychologists to celebrities. Whatever's good for TV, it's good for Oprah. One particular incident that caused a ton of backlash for Oprah was when she did an interview with Suzanne Summers. She was brought onto the show to share her beauty secrets on how she was able to look so young. According to Summers, this treatment that she does on a regular basis would help people. She claimed that she rubs estrogen cream into her skin on one arm and smears progesterone into the other arm. Progesterone is just a fancy way of saying steroids. She also claimed that she took 60 supplements and vitamins a day, 40 in the morning and 20 before bed. What really stirred the pot was that this woman claimed to be a health expert and self-help author, but surprise surprise, doctor she was not. Medical experts started bashing Oprah, claiming that this type of extreme hormone therapy was actually the cause of several diseases and illnesses, like cancer. Despite Suzanne's claims that her specially made non-FDA approved bioidenticals were natural and safe, they were actually just synthetic conventional hormones that you could buy from a pharmacy. A little label smacked on the front. Oprah did everything in her power to sell this idea to her audience, believing 100% that these methods were useful, even claiming to have used the methods to make herself feel incredible. So Oprah would rather risk her audience getting cancer than telling them the truth. Solid. Number 6. The free cars. Who could forget Oprah's famous words? You get a car, you get a car, everybody got a car! The moment was historical on her series and was parodied time and time again, and it still does to this day. However, what a lot of people do not know is that it wasn't as simple as here's some car keys, go have fun. That would be insane. No, when someone gives you anything on television, especially if it's free, there's a catch. For Oprah's audience, the catch was that if they wanted to drive away in their brand new car, they'd have to pay over $7,000 in taxes first. While Oprah's studio would cover the sales tax and registration for the cars, their audience members were given a choice to either pay $7 grand and take the car, or just simply keep that cash instead. The famous moment she shouted this on the show featured 11 real teachers who were, according to Oprah, in desperate need of a new car. They, along with the audience members, received keys in a box on camera that Oprah claimed to be for their new cars. Everything has a catch though, even now. For someone who was known for being charitable and generous, the word free really does mean something different to Oprah. Number 5. The fabricated memoirs. This is a time when Oprah kind of ruined someone's life when she brought them onto her show. Oprah launched her book club in 1996, a reading encouraging segment from her talk show that turned any book that she chose into a bestseller. In September 2005, Winfrey picked A Million Little Pieces, a brutal and painful memoir by James Frett about his years-long struggle with substance control issues. A Million Little Pieces became the best-selling nonfiction book of that year, and Frey was asked to appear on her talk show to discuss the book that Oprah called gut-wrenching. However, the following year, a news outlet ran a very expositive article about Frey after it was discovered that he made up or juiced large portions of his memoir. For example, there is a section of the book that tells a story of Frey surviving a fatal train crash that took the lives of 2 teenagers. Well, he was never on that train and he didn't have anything to do with that situation. He just wrote about it and was like, I was there. Weeks after the article broke, Oprah asked Frey to return to the show, where he faced livid viewers and an even more livid Oprah. She told James that she she felt duped and betrayed, which was a feeling that was shared by her audience and millions of readers around the world. When she asked James why he felt the need to lie to herself and her readers, he tried everything, making every excuse he could think of, and he claimed that he altered a lot of details, but that the overall plot was real. While the studio audience responded with a massive wave of boos, gasps, and groans, and Winfrey later apologized for the mistreatment from her audience, because that wasn't her intention. But the damage was already done, and this dude's career as a writer is non-existent. Number 4. Lance Armstrong. 7-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong has gone down in history as a man who's unable to ride a bike without chemical training wheels. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2013, Lance was brought on to discuss the allegations floating around regarding his status as a Tour de France winner. Several sources claimed that Lance had to take performance-enhancing substances to win each and every race, as well as a type of transfusion involving the red life juice that flows inside all of us. Armstrong went on air and fessed up to every single thing that people were claiming he had done. However, he did deny the notion that he was like a mastermind who would control his teammates and force them to join in his extracurricular activities. But amidst his admission of guilt, say that 10 times fast, there was a moment where he tried to pin the situation on his battle with cancer. He wraps it up by saying that he should have tried harder to cancel the culture rather than to create a problem. Well, unfortunately for him, he was stripped of all 7 Tour de France titles and has since lived in exile among the cycling community. Number 3. Where's the beef? In spring of 1996, the United Kingdom apparently experienced an outbreak of bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease, since I can't pronounce that last word. According to the FDA, the disease destroys cows' central nervous system, and if humans eat the infected meat, you get zombies that can't down. No, you can contract a deadly variant called Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, probably named after the first dude who got the disease. During the mad cow scare, the Oprah Winfrey Show booked Howard Lyman. The former cattle rancher had adopted a vegetarian lifestyle, and he went to work for the Humane Society's Eating with Co-Science Animal Welfare campaign, and he appeared on the show to discuss the threat of mad cows to America. He pointed out that feeding the remains of mad cow to infected cattle or other animals could have facilitated the spread, and that a lot of that was happening in the US right then and there. Oprah was stunned and vowed that she would never eat another burger ever again. Well, it turns out her influence and her millions of viewers were so large that only a few hours after the episode aired, and she declared that she wasn't eating hamburgers ever again, the price of beef stock plummeted, staying at an all-time low for 2 months. In fact, one Texas rancher lost an estimated $6.7 million and organized a class action lawsuit against Oprah and her show for talking trash about beef. After a 6-week trial, she won, leaving one dude with no farm and out hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees. Number 2. Trespasser. So, there's a video circulating the internet that a lot of people are interpreting as a direct message to Oprah Winfrey. Jason Momoa released a video on his Instagram a few weeks ago urging tourists not to come to Maui as the place was on fire and, they didn't need anybody's help. He claimed that he appreciated anyone sharing love for the people of Maui and continued to say that there was someone trying to scam people out of money that was pretending to be him online. After sharing links to several sites that were directly linked to putting money into the pockets of the people of Maui, fans decided to focus on the bit about people staying away. Now, at the same time that this was happening, Oprah and The Rock had announced the People's Fund of Maui, and the thing was that caused a lot of backlash for Oprah. And in Jason's video, he does not include a link to the charity and doesn't even acknowledge its existence. He has since spoken about the charity, but has never actually said the names Oprah or Dwayne out loud. People are just putting 2 and 2 together though, and the internet has decided that Jason Momoa has called Oprah Winfrey a trespasser. Number 1. Whoopi Goldberg. In author Kitty Kelly's unauthorized Oprah biography, Kelly claims that Whoopi Goldberg became a persona non grata, or an unwelcome person in Oprah's life, after Whoopi was nominated for an Oscar for her role in The Color Purple. The book noted that following the honor, the comedian never appeared on Oprah's show again and was noticeably shunned from her 2006 Legends Ball. It wasn't until Oprah invited the entire cast of The Color Purple onto the show that the so-called feud was addressed. It turns out that Oprah had actually ran into Whoopi at Tyler Perry's party sometime after the 2006 snub. Goldberg confronted Oprah, leading to a hilariously adorable moment where Oprah asked why Whoopi was mad at her, to which Whoopi was
like, I'm not mad at you, I thought you were mad at me, what's going on here? They mutually agreed that they really should have just picked up the phone a long time ago and figured the whole thing out and settled the dispute.
Coming in at 10, Tom Cruise is an alien. Tom Cruise, as we know, is one of the most famous members of the Church of Scientology. There is so much mystery surrounding the church, but particularly surrounding the galactic ruler Xenu. According to the Washington Post, Scientologists believe that Xenu once expelled humans to Earth from another planet, and their disembodied spirits live in everyone. Saying that, many have theorized that Cruise is in fact part alien spirit. It has also been rumored that Cruise built an alien bunker at his Colorado estate out of fear that Xenu would attack again. Coming in at 9, Walt Disney's body. Now, prior to Walt Disney's death, his health had been deteriorating for many months before he finally agreed to enter St. Joseph Hospital in California on November 2, 1966, where a walnut-sized spot was discovered on his left lung. After a successful surgery and 2 weeks of post-operative care, Disney was released from the hospital before growing too weak and returning to the hospital again. His health then began to fail even more, and Walt died 2 weeks later when his circulatory system collapsed on the morning of December 15, 1966. Following his death, numerous claims were made that his body was frozen somewhere at Disneyland, specifically under the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction. Yikes. Coming in at number 8, Dolly Parton's ribs. Like Cher on our previous list, Dolly Parton has also been the subject to ridiculous rumors about her tiny frame. However, the singer clarified that she's never undergone any such surgery during a 2014 interview with Woman's Day. I quote, "I went into a restroom in Los Angeles years ago and this girl said, 'Oh, I want you to tell me, does that really hurt?' I was like, 'What? Does what hurt?' She said, 'Like when they take your ribs out.'" She then went on to debunk the rumor, saying that her waist is little because nothing grows in the shade. Coming in at 7, Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer is a pseudonym of an unidentified serial killer who operated in Northern California from at least the late 1960s to the early 1970s. The killer targeted 4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29, with 2 of the men surviving attempted murder. After years of searching, the true identity of the killer has never been discovered. However, there are some out there who believe it to be Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Now, there is no evidence suggesting that this is even remotely true, other than the fact that the senator bears a small resemblance to the sketch of the killer. In fact, an exhaustive investigation by the Washington Post revealed that Cruz was born in 1970, while the first known killing by the Zodiac was in 1968. However, that hasn't stopped people from speculating. Coming in at 6, Cameron Diaz's face. Now, this one is just bizarre, honestly. In 2011, Pop Sugar asked Cameron Diaz what the weirdest rumor she had ever heard about herself was, and she said, "It's that I only wash my face with Evian water." So where does the theory come from? The actress went on to state, I quote, "We live our lives in trailers. Actors are like circus folk. People don't realize that it's super unglamorous. And the water in the trailer comes from tanks they put chemicals in so that it doesn't freeze. It's like antifreeze. You would never wash your face with it. So anyone who washes their face at work would have to use bottled water to wash their face. There's a grain of truth in everything that someone has taken it and just spoiled it. So was someone ruining everything for everyone?" Coming in at 5, Justin Bieber is a reptile. According to some theorists and Australian news website Perth Now, during one of Justin Bieber's visits down under a few years back, hundreds of eyewitnesses apparently saw their idol turn into a giant reptile. Now, allegedly, several witnesses served up some incredibly interesting quotes, including, "There were girls hiding in toilets, crying, guys were running for the exits, jumping in taxis to get out of there." Classic. Apparently, the star in his reptile form has a black stripe down the middle, and big scaly claws that lash out angrily. Now, of course, there is no evidence to confirm the rumor, not to mention the fact that the idea of a lizard person is biologically impossible. But coming in at 4, Marilyn Manson. Rumor has it that before launching into his music career, shock rocker Marilyn Manson played Kevin Arnold's sidekick, Paul Pfeiffer, on the popular TV series The Wonder Years. However, Pfeiffer was in reality played by Josh Saviano. But the rumor doesn't stop there. According to theorists, Saviano grew up, changed his name, and reconfigured his career to become satanic rock singer Marilyn Manson. In reality though, the singer was 19 years old when the Wonder Years began, meaning he would have been far too old to play pre-teen Pfeiffer. Again, people don't like math, so they don't want to do that. Coming in at 3, Mr. Rogers' sweaters. Born Fred Rogers, he was a television personality, musician, puppeteer, writer, producer, and Presbyterian minister. He was also the creator, showrunner, and host of the preschool television series Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Now, the star was known for his adorable sweaters, but this rumor goes that he wore those sweaters to cover up the tattoos from his time as a Navy SEAL. However, the truth of the matter is, Fred Rogers never served in any war. He was actually a devoted Presbyterian minister who neither smoked nor drank. Sad times. Can't relate. In at 2, Taylor Swift is a clone. A couple years back, an image cropped up online of a woman named Zena LaVey, a high priestess of the Church of Satan. However, it was incredibly difficult not to see the striking resemblance between herself and pop star Taylor Swift. Of course, it wasn't long before rumors began swirling, including one that stated Swift was a clone of LaVey. I quote, "The conspiracy theory is that Swift was taken and replaced by the Illuminati with a clone of LaVey, who is apparently a member of a secretive cult, according to BuzzFeed. Neither Swift nor LaVey have debunked the rumor, therefore it must be true." True. And finally, coming in at number 1, Beyonce kidnaps Sia. In 2016, this crazy theory emerged on Brazilian social media that Beyonce kidnapped fellow pop star Sia and was holding her hostage as her songwriter. Well, a hashtag even began trending on Twitter called Save Sia. The rumor seemed to have begun because of a misinterpreted article back in 2015 in Billboard in which Sia said that collaborating with Beyonce is like a writing camp and that she's very Frankenstein when she comes to the songs. I don't know how that suggests kidnapping, but to each their own, I guess. Like, was Beyonce down in a basement cutting up people's limbs and sticking them to Sia? I don't think so.
Number 10, Portia de Rossi. In her 2010 groundbreaking memoir, Unbearable Lightness, Portia de Rossi reveals the pain and illness that haunted her for decades, from a time she was a 12-year-old girl working as a model in Australia through her early rise to fame as a cast member of the hit television show Ally McBeal. She also detailed her struggles with and while living in the public eye, and recounted how she survived on 300 calories a day and took 20 laxatives daily, trying to maintain a weight of 82 pounds. According to her memoir, Portia both starved herself and putting her life in danger and concealing from herself and everyone around her the seriousness of her illness, and described the elaborate rituals around food that came to dominate hours of every day. The actress did this all while terrified that the truth of her sexuality would be exposed in the tabloids, and revealed the heartache and fear that comes from living a life in the closet, which was only magnified by her unrelenting desire to be thinner, more in control of her body, and the number of calories she consumed and spent. But it wasn't all bad. Portia also recounted how falling in love with Ellen DeGeneres helped her develop a healthy body image, embrace her sexual orientation, and gain inner peace. Number 9, Janice Dickinson. A strange encounter with Bill Cosby in 1982 was described in the 2002 memoir No Lifeguard on Duty by the self-anointed world's first supermodel Janice Dickinson. In her book, she reveals real moments that she experienced with Cosby and goes into great detail when it comes to taking back the narrative. Janice mentioned how Cosby allegedly answered his hotel room door in nothing but a towel and kissed her. He then took her to dinner and suggested that she follow him back upstairs. The memoir was pretty explosive at the time and would come back into relevance in 2018 when she chose to testify in court to Cosby's crimes. The comedian was once known to millions as America's Dad, famous for his clean brand of family comedy and his award-winning work with children's programming. So Janice's memoir really did help expose Cosby's double life, as eventually more than 50 women came out claiming that the star slipped them illicit substances and took advantage of them while they were unconscious. And in April of 2018, an 80-year-old Cosby was sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison, although he would eventually be released in 2021. Number 8, Corey Feldman. In his deeply personal 2013 memoir, child star and teen heartthrob Corey Feldman exposes the darkness that loomed behind his rise to fame. Although he undoubtedly had a successful career, famous friendships, and high-profile relationships, Corey reveals a side to his star-studded life that no one knew about, and it's full of tragedy. He came from a broken family that he emancipated himself from at the age of 15. As a teenager, he suffered physical, emotional, and sexual violence. The Stand By Me star was also arrested and struggled with addiction throughout his time as a successful working actor. But most shockingly, Corey also implied that his close friend Corey Haim's lifelong battle with addiction was the result of being preyed upon by a powerful older man. Following the book's publication came rampant speculations about the identity of the offender, and it's something that readers still argue about to this day. His memoir, Choreography, weaves a heartbreaking story of pain and survival that reveals just how dark the industry can really be. Number 7, Holly Madison. Former Playboy bunny and Girls Next Door star Holly Madison dished on how oppressive life with Hugh Hefner really was in 2015's Down the Rabbit Hole. Madison described the many bizarre rules and rituals that Hefner imposed upon his girlfriends. For instance, that they needed to wear matching flannel pajamas, engage in group dressed in tiny skirts and bralettes, and had a daily curfew of 9 p.m. The memoir tells the story of Madison's time with Hefner from 2001 to 2008 and its aftermath. She goes into great detail about the reality of her life behind the cameras, how her depression in the Playboy mansion reached harrowing depths, yet she felt trapped there. She also opened up about her unwillingness to admit to anyone how sad she really was, and Hefner's emotional control over her. The book also explores her time on the reality show The Girls Next Door and the weirdness that was pop culture in the early 2000s. When speaking about her book, Holly said, quote, "I felt like I had something to say about being in the midst of that whole thing that was going on where Paris Hilton and Jessica Simpson and Kendra was so celebrated, and I was a part of it too, for being dumb on TV. Part of the reason I wanted to write the book was to show the other side of it, which goes to show you just how much of it was all for the cameras." Number 6. Shania Twain. The Grammy-winning country singer confronted her childhood demons when she wrote her 2011 memoir From This Moment On, describing how her stepfather Jerry was physically, sexually, and verbally violent towards her and her mother Sharon. In a frank and often shocking autobiography, the singer reveals graphic and personal details about her rags to riches story and the price of ambition and success. Throughout her memoir, it also became clear that Shania experienced a harrowing degree of poverty and hunger. For instance, she claimed that sometimes there was only bread and mustard for her and her 4 siblings to eat, and they often wore plastic bread bags to cover their shoes to protect their feet during winter, and regularly went to school without lunch. The singer also had to deal with a double betrayal in her life. She wrote about the heartache that she went through when she found out about the affair between her husband of 14 years, Robert Lang, and her best friend. As a result, Shania became so distraught that she literally lost her voice to spasmodic dysphonia, which left her unable to sing. So her memoir explores how she worked through all that heartbreak. Number 5. Sharon Stone. She became a Hollywood icon and a household name after her role in Basic Instinct, and in a 2021 memoir, The Beauty of Living Twice, she finally reveals the vulnerability behind her femme fatale persona. She goes into great detail about her experiences in Hollywood, like how she was tricked into that famous shot in Basic Instinct, and ill-equipped for fame when it finally came to her. She was also routinely taken advantage of in the male-dominated film industry. She claims that the filmmakers were not entirely honest about what they captured with the camera, and so they didn't have her complete consent to put that scene in the film. Quote, "I do think we have to create a think tank that really addresses what is a crime, what is a felony, what is consent." The name of her memoir actually comes from a life-changing brain hemorrhage that she suffered in 2001 that almost killed her. It left her without the basic ability to function, and she ended up losing her family, her career, and a huge part of her life, which she had to start again from the ground up. Stone also talks about how she went through a childhood of and violence to a career in an industry that actually brought back a lot of those memories for her, although in Hollywood it was all hidden under the cover of money and glamour. Number 4. Leah Remini. A former longtime Scientologist, King of Queens star Leah Remini opened up about her experiences in the church in her 2015 memoir Troublemaker. As a teenager in the church's Sea organization, Remini said that she was reprimanded for sunning by the pool at the Scientology-run Sandcastle Hotel in Florida, and as a punishment was taken out to sea on a boat, thrown overboard, and nearly drowned by a group leader. Not only that, but she was also once fined $40,000 after confessing to stealing food from the headquarters 20 years earlier. In her memoir, Leah also made some shocking allegations about several well-known Hollywood celebrities. In fact, she recalled a time that her and her husband, Angelo, spent time at Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion when he invited a group of well-known Scientologists and other celebrities, including the Smiths. She actually called Will and Jada Pinkett Smith famous friends of the church, and even mentioned the Scientology school that they opened, revealing that despite Jada's denial, she is indeed good friends with Tom Cruise and an active member of the controversial religion. Number 3. Jeanette McCurdy. Described as both heartbreaking and hilarious, iCarly star Jeanette McCurdy's bluntly titled memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, gives fans a glimpse into what really went on behind the cameras, something something that up until now fans have only been able to speculate about. Jeanette exposes her traumatic experiences on Nickelodeon and the disturbing truth about how she was mistreated by her mother, who pushed her to be a child star, noting that the persona she was known for throughout her youth and her young adult life was a front forced upon her by her mom, who, in addition to everything else, was extremely physically inappropriate with both her and her brother, even when they were teenagers. Jeanette also discusses the perils of young fame and reveals that she developed anorexia as a child, and talks about why she ultimately quit acting altogether. She also details numerous instances where she felt exploited as a teen actor, both on and off set. The actress refers to the person behind the demands as simply the creator throughout the memoir, never naming them. She simply describes him as mean-spirited, controlling, and terrifying, calling a time when she was filming an episode of iCarly that he insisted that she wear a bikini instead of a one-piece swimsuit which she preferred. The revelations in her new book are absolutely shocking, and they really expose the traumatic experience of being a child star. Number 2, Christina Crawford. At the height of her fame in the 1940s, Joan Crawford had a considerable reputation to uphold. She won a 1945 Best Actress Academy Award for the lead role in Mildred Pierce. She lived in a beautiful house in Brentwood, LA, and used her wealth to adopt and raise 4 children, including Christina Crawford. For all of this, Joan was celebrated in the public eye and had extensive magazine spreads about her happy family life. But to her daughter, the facade was a complete lie, and eventually her frustration at the discrepancy between her mother's private existence and her public reputation bubbled over. In 1978, she published Mummy Dearest, which told the truth about her mother's character, that she was a sadistic perfectionist. It was the first tell-all celebrity memoir to talk so openly about childhood, and subsequently was a worldwide sensation upon its release. In fact, it stayed at the top of the New York Times bestseller list for 42 weeks, and even resulted in the 1981 film adaptation starring Faye Dunaway that would go on to become a cult hit. To this day, most people associate Joan Crawford with that infamous scene where she launches into a vicious tirade after discovering Christina's dresses were hung up on wire clothes hangers. So it's safe to say that her reputation never recovered. And coming in at number 1, Rose McGowan. In her 2018 memoir Brave, the outspoken actress takes readers behind the scenes of her life in Hollywood, where she has become known as one of the fiercest and realest women fighting to expose the ugly truth about Harvey Weinstein and the systematic misogyny that has defined the industry for so long. The most outspoken of all of Weinstein's accusers, McGowan opens up about when she first met the movie mogul at the Sundance Film Festival, but only refers to him in her book as the monster. She was at the premiere of her 1997 film Going All the Way when he sat behind her. The next day she was sent to his hotel room, where the two talked about films and her acting goals. But as he walked her out, McGowan writes that he pushed her into his bathroom, forcibly backed her into the wall, and ripped off her clothes. But most shockingly, after the incident, the actress was driven to a photo op with her Phantoms co-star Ben Affleck. When she told him what happened, he simply said, "Damn it, I told him to stop doing that." Her memoir couldn't be more relevant to current events, as to date, 84 women have come forward with allegations against Weinstein, and he is currently serving a prison sentence of 23 years.
At number 10, Rock Hudson. Imagine taking one of the biggest secrets about who you really are to your grave. That's essentially what happened with famed Hollywood actor Rock Hudson. Rock was one of the hottest leading males in Hollywood in his heyday, but he lived with a huge secret for his whole life, and people didn't end up finding out about it until after his passing. When Rock passed away in 1985, it was revealed that he had died from AIDS. He became one of the first and most famous Hollywood celebrities to pass away from the illness. Because the illness was so heavily associated with being gay, speculation began to float around saying that Rock had been hiding his sexuality from the public this whole time. This all turned out to be 100% true, as friends and family of Rock confirmed what the public had been thinking in a biography on the actor. In the book, it was revealed that he had an ex-boyfriend named Lee Garlington, and he was described as Rock's true love. Rock's secret was really only known by his closest friends and family and an inner circle of Hollywood, and a lot of them fought to keep his sexuality a secret in order to preserve his career. I couldn't imagine how tough it would be to have to keep such a big part of who you are a secret from the world.
At number 9, David Cassidy. Oftentimes we try our best to be open and honest with our struggles in life, but for some it's hard to share some of the things that you might not be too proud of. This is what caused actor David Cassidy to keep a pretty big secret from the public that wasn't actually revealed until after he passed away. Before he passed away, David shared with the public his struggles with dementia. Fans believed that the actor was suffering from the disease, and so when news broke of his death, people just assumed that it was the dementia that ultimately took him. But it wasn't until the documentary about the actor called David Cassidy, The Last Session, came out that the public learned the truth about David's health. It turned out that the actor was never actually diagnosed with dementia, and that this wasn't what was harming his health. Instead, it was alcohol poisoning that he was struggling with, and that ultimately took his life. In the documentary, the actor admitted to everything, saying, quote, "There is no sign of me having dementia at this stage in my life. It was complete alcohol poisoning, and the fact is, I lied about my drinking." End quote. One of the documentary's producers spoke out about having known about the actor's struggles before the public, where they said, quote, "We didn't want to exploit him, but ultimately he was honest about what killed him, and we decided that his legacy would be best served if we shared that." End quote. Before we carry on talking about some of the juiciest celebrity secrets, why not take a brief moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, why not subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Gene Wilder. When someone is diagnosed with a serious illness, it becomes a very tough and very personal decision of whether or not to tell people about it. I know people who chose to keep their illness a secret until the end, and this is exactly what actor Gene Wilder did. Gene passed away in 2016, but it wasn't until after he died that the public learned about the secret that he was keeping in regards to his health. It turned out that the actor had been battling Alzheimer's for over 3 years before he passed away. After learning this, a lot of people wanted to know why this news was kept secret from the public, and the reason behind it is so touching. Gene didn't reveal his condition to the public because he wanted people to remember him as he was, and not someone who was sick. He wanted to keep the smiles on the faces of his fans. In a statement released by Gene's family, they elaborated on the situation, saying, quote, "The decision to wait until this time to disclose his condition wasn't vanity, but more so that the countless young children that would smile or call out to him, 'There's Willy Wonka,' would not have to be then exposed to an adult referencing illness or trouble and causing delight to travel to worry, disappointment, or confusion. He simply couldn't bear the idea of one less smile in the world." End quote. At number 7, Corey Haim. Unfortunately, as much as there's glitz and glam in Hollywood, there's also a dark side, one of those dark sides being harming and manipulating others. This is sadly something that actor Corey Haim experienced as a child actor in Hollywood. Both he and his best friend Corey Feldman experienced the dark side of Hollywood, and though Feldman has been pretty outspoken about what he endured, Haim on the other hand kept that top secret. The one thing that he kept absolutely hidden was the identity of the person who seriously harmed him. Haim went to the grave knowing the identity of the person who harmed him, but this secret isn't completely lost, as it's alleged that Corey Feldman actually knows who did it. Feldman tried in the past to get his friend to expose the person who caused him so much pain, but Haim refused because he was so scared that this individual would try and hurt them again. Haim made Corey promise that he would share the story of what happened to them if he died, and Corey did share some details, but again, the identity of the person who hurt Corey Haim remains a secret. At number 6, Sally Ride. Up next we have another celebrity who unfortunately didn't get to live their life as open as they should have been able to, as they went to the grave with a huge secret. Astronaut Sally Ride was the first American woman to go to space. She became widely known for her presence in the NASA community, promoting education and interest in space, and specifically devoted much of her life to helping girls excel in STEM. She did a lot for her community, especially women and young girls, but there was another community that she was a part of that no one really knew about until after she passed away. When Sally passed away in 2012, her title grew to not only be the first American woman to go to space, but also the first astronaut to be acknowledged as gay. Sally's sexuality was never public knowledge until her obituary named a woman named Tan O'Shaughnessy as her partner of 27 years. At number 5, Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston's personal life was often a hot topic in the media during her life. People were obsessed with what went on behind closed doors, the good and the bad. Though a lot of her personal life was exposed, one thing that remained a secret until her tragic passing was a horrible incident that she had endured when she was younger. After some digging and a published documentary, the world learned that Whitney was once a victim of inappropriate contact. After the singer passed away, her former assistant told the documentary team that Whitney had once confided in her to tell tell her about what she had endured when she was younger. The assistant told cameras, quote, "Whitney looked at me and said, 'Mary, I was harmed at a young age too, but it wasn't by a man, it was a woman.' She had tears in her eyes. She says, 'Mommy doesn't know the things that we went through.'" End quote. Though she never spoke publicly about what happened to her, it is believed that Whitney once hinted at it in an interview when she got really emotional when talking about adults taking advantage of children. At number 4, George Michael. Imagine being portrayed negatively in the media for basically your whole career just for the narrative to make a 180 after your passing. This is the case with singer George Michael and how his public image changed after he passed away. During his career, George was seen as scandalous and the media really dug into this while he was alive, but after he passed away in 2016, the truth about who George Michael really was came out, and it was a very different narrative. He took the secret of his philanthropy to his grave, but many people wish that he was around to be appreciated for giving back to the people. The public came to learn that the singer made many large donations to a wide array of charities like cancer support groups and the Terrence Higgins Trust, which is an HIV awareness group. He kept all of his donations a secret and made sure that no one receiving these donations knew that he was behind it. He was a secret angel giving back to people without receiving any credit, which just shows that this help was genuine, not just for good press. At number 3, Prince. Another celebrity who was something of a secret angel of sorts was Prince. After he passed away in 2016, secrets about the singer started to come out, some of those secrets being about his philanthropy. One person, an environmentalist who worked for the Green Jobs Act, came forward to talk about one of the donations that they had once received anonymously from Prince, where they said that they received a check for $50,000. At first, they sent the check back because it was so out of the blue and they didn't really trust it, but to their surprise, the check came back again, this time with a phone call. The environmentalist then went on to say that the person on the phone said, quote, "I cannot tell you who the money is coming from, but his favorite color is purple." End quote. On top of this anonymous donation, Prince also co-founded an educational effort to help teach minority youths technology called #YesWeCode, and he also made a donation to the family of Trayvon Martin. Speaking out about Prince's philanthropy, his ex-wife said that he never wanted to make these donations public so as to not overshadow the charity or the case. At number 2, Anthony Perkins. Known for his role as Norman Bates in the Hitchcock film Psycho, actor Anthony Perkins lived a pretty quiet and private life, but he also took a very big secret to his grave. When news broke of his passing in 1992, it came as a sudden shock to people. But what the public didn't know at the time was that Anthony had been secretly battling a serious illness that he kept from the public. For 2 years before his passing, the actor had been secretly receiving treatment for AIDS. Speaking out about her husband's treatment, Anthony's wife told sources, quote, "He went twice to stay at a hospital and once as an outpatient, and we went under another name. You think that this man has spent his entire life giving people so much pleasure in show business, and this is his reward. He can't even be himself at the end." End quote. Anthony knew that when the public found out about his condition after his passing, there would be a lot of questions as to why he never publicly revealed his condition, and so before he died, he wrote a statement to be read once he passed on. In the statement, the actor wrote, quote, "I chose not to go public about having AIDS because, to misquote Casablanca, I'm not much at being noble, but it doesn't take much to see that the problems of one old actor doesn't amount to a hill of beans in this crazy world." End quote. And finally, at number 1, Billy Tipton. Billy Tipton was a famous jazz musician who kept a huge secret from everyone. This secret was so hush-hush that not even his closest friends or family knew. Billy had a pretty solid career in the beginning. The 40s and 50s were Billy's time to shine, rising to fame and taking American jazz by storm. Billy's career started to decline, however, after he declined an offer for a recording contract and to open for Liberace. After that, the musician started to fade out of the spotlight. Over the course of his life, Billy was married 5 times, adopted 3 kids, and was considered to be a real family man. But one day, when Billy suddenly collapsed, his secret was revealed. While paramedics were trying to save him, it was discovered that Billy wasn't biologically male. Like I mentioned before, no one knew. Literally no one, so this came as a shock to everyone. It turns out that Billy dressed as a man in order to be allowed into the world of jazz. Because of this huge secret, Billy was forced to live a pretty private life in order to avoid being caught.
Number 10, Jennifer Aniston nearly quit. Jennifer was the last to sign for the final 10th season of Friends, and she very nearly didn't return at all. Part of this was down to her busy career because at this point, she was definitely one of the most famous of the Friends cast. She had several movies on the slate. She later revealed that she was debating not coming back because she had a couple of issues that she was dealing with at the time. Jennifer said that she wanted to end the show when people still loved them and they were on a high. She also questioned herself about how long she really wanted to play Rachel. Rachel. Jennifer obviously eventually agreed to the final season, but she is the reason why it's the shortest season, because she only agreed to return if it was cut short. Luckily for everyone, she decided to stay and felt bittersweet about the final season, and in the end she found herself wishing that it could have continued on. Most of the cast members' careers have crashed and burned after Friends ended, but Jennifer Aniston was a rare exception. She went on to star in several Hollywood blockbusters like Bruce Almighty, Break Up, Marley and Me, Just Go With It, Horrible Bosses, and We're the Millers, all of which were very successful at the box office. Number 9, Matthew struggled with substances. As we know, Matthew Perry's sudden death has completely shocked the world. The beloved actor was found at his home after an apparent drowning. He was only 54 years old, and his passing was an absolute tragedy. Many of the Friends cast struggled to deal with their newfound fame, and for Matthew, this led to problems with addiction, which he has been extremely open about in his memoir. Although he said that he was never drunk on set, he did admit to being painfully hungover to the point that everyone became aware of. After more than one stint in rehab, he managed to get clean, and then he became very passionate about helping other people who were struggling. Just last year, he revealed that he and Jennifer Aniston had stayed in each other's lives, and they remained in close contact. He said that it was actually Jennifer who confronted him first about his addictions during the filming of the show. Apparently, she approached him during a break and told him, "We know you're drinking." And looking back on that moment, Matthew thought that it was very scary, because in his own mind, he thought he was doing a perfectly fine job of hiding his habits from his co-stars. But at a certain point, they all knew that he was in trouble, and they did their best to support him. Number 8, Lisa Kudrow sued the show. Lisa Kudrow's manager Scott Howard sued her in 2008, year after she ended her contract with him, and 4 years after Friends ended. Howard claimed that Lisa owed him residuals for the reruns of Friends and other projects that she had worked on while under his management, to the tune of 10% of everything that she got. He stopped paying him when the contract was dissolved and argued that the 10% was only payable when he was managing her. Eventually, he won the case in 2014, and the judge awarded him $1.6 million. Of course, for someone who earned $1 million per episode for the final seasons of Friends, that figure wouldn't have put too much of a dent in her bank account. In a statement, Lisa's attorney said, "The jury's verdict is merely one step in the legal process. This case will ultimately be resolved at the appellate level. Mrs. Kudrow has faith in the judicial system, and she believes that the eventual outcome of this contractual dispute will be in her favor." In a statement of his own, Scott Howard's attorney said, "What generally happens now with unsophisticated actress clients is they overpay for filing a frivolous appeal that has no chance for success." So this legal battle got extremely messy in the end, and it must have been embarrassing to be a part of. Number 7, David Schwimmer went into hiding. As we know, David struggled with the fame that came from being such a huge hit at such a young age. Of the main 6 actors in Friends, he's the one who has shied away from the limelight the most. Although he continued to work after the show ended, he spent many years preferring to do voice work, directing, producing, and has been candid about struggling to find a way to continue acting as he's such a huge celebrity. He said, "It was pretty jarring and it messed with my relationships with other people in a way that took years. I need to kind of adjust to and become comfortable. It made me want to hide under a baseball cap and not be seen. So I was trying to figure out, how do I be an actor in this new world, in this new situation?" Friends was such a huge hit from the moment it premiered that it didn't just bring fame to its stars, it brought a mega level of fame that is hard to understand. For David, it was just too hard to deal with. So much so that it didn't just affect him, but his relationships and other people as well. He was also an actor who, as a part of his craft, liked to be anonymous and observe people out in the world. But of course, he simply could not do that anymore once he reached that certain level of success. Number 6, Matt LeBlanc was arrested. Before he became famous, Matt was already getting used to that crazy party lifestyle that most people associate with being a celebrity. After Friends was finished, he admitted that he was arrested for drunk driving twice. He said, "When I was young and stupid, I wasn't driving fast, just crooked. This came up when he was cast as one of the hosts of the new Top Gear, and fans were not sure whether a history of reckless driving was a good thing when it came to presenting a show about cars." Matt dismissed the incidents as the product of his age, although he has said that he's grateful the press never got a hold of his mugshots. While his drunk driving record happened before fame and fortune came to him, he also got into some pretty dark times when it came to dealing with his newfound fame. He nearly had a nervous breakdown due to the intensity of working on Friends, especially when the show came to an end. Speaking about that time, Matt said that for years and years he barely left the house because he was so burnt out. He wanted not to have a schedule and not to have to be anywhere. Luckily, he was in a position financially to be able to do that with all of his savings, but of course his agent was not too happy. Matt said that was a very dark time for him and it even led to a nervous breakdown. Number 5. Jennifer Aniston's wedding. While not every cast is close off screen, the cast of Friends was known for being friends in real life, as well as having a huddle before each episode started filming and negotiating their salaries as a team. The cast were often photographed out and about together, and they talked in interviews about how close they remained, even after the filming ended. I mean, Jennifer Aniston is even godmother to Courtney Cox's daughter. But in 2015, when she married Justin Theroux, she didn't invite any of her male co-stars to the ceremony. It was a small wedding with only 70 guests, but it did include Courtney and Lisa. Matthew Perry said that he was surprised he wasn't invited, but he was still very happy for the couple, despite the awkwardness of rejection. Hopefully though, he didn't take too much offense, considering that Jennifer didn't even invite her own mother to her wedding with Brad Pitt in 2000. In an interview with Ellen in 2018, she opened up about why she went years without talking to her mother Nancy Dow, saying, quote, she was very critical of me. Because she was a model, she was beautiful, magnificent, I wasn't, I never was. She added that her mother was very unforgiving and would often hold long grudges. They ended up reuniting several years later, and by Jen's marriage to her second husband Justin in 2015, they were finally on speaking terms. But the funny thing is, Nancy still wasn't invited to that wedding either. Number 4. David's neighbors hated him. Even stars have feuds with their neighbors, and David Schwimmer is no exception. In 2010, the star bought a property in the East Village townhouse from 1852, and of course the land that it stood on. But he decided that rather than renovate it to keep up the facade, he would just tear the whole thing down and start fresh. It's something that a lot of property developers are known for doing, but it's never really a popular decision. As a result, an anonymous neighbor left a message for him that was too big to ignore. For some reason, they decided it would really upset him if they spray painted in huge letters on the construction site fence. They wrote the words, "Ross is not cool," which is both hilarious and kind of genius because it actually echoed a storyline from the show, where Ross moves into a new building and becomes enemies with the neighbors by not chipping in for the maintenance man's retirement gift, which kind of goes to show you that life really does imitate art. There's no saying how David reacted to this, but you can imagine that he wouldn't be too pleased that the construction site had graffiti. Matthew's extreme anxiety. Matthew Perry admitted 2 years ago that he suffered from anxiety, which often came when he was trying to be as funny as he could in front of the live studio audience while they were filming Friends. The admission came up during the HBO Max Friends reunion with Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer. Matthew said that trying to be great made him extremely nervous, and his co-stars at the reunion said they never had any idea that he was suffering on set because he always delivered such a fabulous performance while being seemingly at ease. He said, "To me, I felt like I was going to die if they didn't laugh. And it's not healthy for sure, but I would sometimes say a line and they wouldn't laugh and I would sweat and just go into convulsions if I didn't get the laugh I was supposed to get. I would freak out." His co-star Lisa was shocked to hear that. She said that Matthew was always such a cool cucumber, and he was one of the best on set, always delivering a line well as he played Chandler. Even though he never said anything to his co-stars back then, he felt this way every single night. And as we know now, his time on Friends was significantly impacted by his addiction. Memoir controversy. One surprise takeaway from Matthew Perry's autobiography was his apparent feelings towards Keanu Reeves, after he repeatedly questioned why other actors die while Keanu is still alive. Quote, "Why is it that original thinkers like River Phoenix and Heath Ledger die, but Keanu Reeves still walks among us?" Upon learning that another former co-star, Chris Farley, had died, he wrote, "I punched a hole through Jennifer Aniston's dressing room wall when I found out." And in the next line he wrote, "Keanu Reeves still walks among us." Matthew would later apologize for the comments and then release a statement saying, "I'm actually a big fan of Keanu. I just chose a random name, my mistake. I apologize." But that wasn't it at all. There was also a lot of other interesting admissions in his memoir. Another thing he also revealed is that he asked out Jennifer Aniston before filming Friends. He said that the two of them were the only Friends stars who knew each other before the show, having met 3 years before through mutual acquaintances. In one part of the book he wrote, "I was immediately taken by her, how could I not be, and liked her. I got the sense that she was intrigued too, and maybe it was going to be something." Safe to say that fans were more than shocked by that revelation. And number 1, everyone was scared of Matt LeBlanc. Now Joey is far from a scary guy, but when Matt LeBlanc was first cast in the role, some of the other cast members were a little bit afraid of him. This fear was based off of what they knew about Matt himself. The fact that he was raised by a mechanic and had done a stint as a male model as well, and had done a stint as a male model, as well as what they knew about the character of Joey, who is known as a very forward womanizer. Jennifer Aniston in particular remembers being intimidated before she met him herself. She said, "I was scared of that type of guy. He thinks it's very funny now, and actually he can sit down and comfort me just like Courtney or Lisa could." So it's a good thing that Matt turned out to be just as much of a sweetheart as Joey was, despite a slightly rocky start.
First off, Tish Cyrus, Miley's mother, allegedly stole Noah Cyrus's man. Earlier last week, a source told Peep that the younger Cyrus sister was offended over her mom's relationship with the Prison Break star Dominic Purcell. The insider claimed that Noah and Purcell had previously hooked up and stopped seeing each other before the actor and Tish had pursued their own relationship. Noah and Dominic were seeing each other in a friends with benefits way, off and on. And then Tish started something up, the source said, adding that, quote, "Tish knew that he had been seeing Noah prior. Tish never gave Noah the chance to talk about all of this before they got married," the insider also noted. Tish and Dominic exchanged their I-do's in Maid of Honor Miley Cyrus's backyard on August 19th, 2023. Noah was not present at the ceremony. What's even worse is that Tish allegedly hired security to keep daughter Noah out of the wedding. A source told Fox News Digital that to ensure Noah did not attend the ceremony, Tish hired lots of security. Noah's house in Malibu is located just blocks away from Miley's residence. The source added that at the time of the wedding, Miley was unaware of the relationship that Noah had with Dominic. Fox News Digital was also previously told that Noah and Dominic were seeing each other on and off, but later cut ties. When Tish began dating him in 2022, she was privy of Noah's history with him, although there was no overlap. Noah and brother Brazen Cyrus allegedly spent their mother's wedding day together at Walmart, where Noah donned a Billy Ray Cyrus shirt and posted a cryptic message about loving her father to Instagram. Next up, let's discuss Miley and Billy Ray's troubled relationship. Billy Ray Cyrus, the 62-year-old country music icon, has reportedly attempted to mend his strained relationship with his daughter. The father-daughter duo has experienced a growing distance in recent years following Billy Ray's divorce from Miley's mom Tish and his subsequent marriage to 34-year-old singer Fire Rose. However, insiders suggest that Billy Ray has made efforts to reach out to Miley, including congratulating her on her recent Grammy win for her hit single, Flowers. Sources close to the family revealed to Us Weekly that Billy Ray has made several attempts to contact Miley, expressing his pride and congratulations. Despite the rift between them, friends of the family are hopeful that the estrangement will not be permanent. However, the insider also noted that Miley has chosen to align herself with her mom amid the family turmoil, leaving her relationship with her dad strained. Alright, now let's discuss some of Miley's past controversies. Miley was criticized for a dance number she did at the height of her Hannah Montana fame, which featured a pole at the 2009 Teen Choice Awards. While singing her hit Party in the USA, Miley got up on top of an ice cream cart and straddled the pole as she belted out the lyrics. Miley claimed that she had no intentions of causing controversy. "It wasn't a pole, it was actually just for stability, guys. I had a heel on. What do you want from me?" the singer said in a clip from her Used to Be Young docuseries on TikTok. "Was I really gonna do my performance without dancing on top of an ice cream cart?" Cyrus said. Cyrus later admitted to British Vogue in June that she carried a lot of guilt and shame around that time period because of how her younger audience reacted to her edgier persona. "I carried some guilt and shame around myself for years because of how much controversy and upset I really caused. Now that I'm an adult, I realize how harshly I was judged. I was harshly judged as a child by adults, and now as an adult, I realized that I would never harshly judge a child. After Miley's viral Wrecking Ball video, the world seemed to be in full meltdown. The song, which released in 2013, was under the radar for its explicit content. Cyrus shocked everybody by straddling a bulldozer ball in the video for Wrecking Ball. She received a lot of criticism from viewers and was labeled as a bad role model to her army of fans. Miley Cyrus was recently interviewed by ABC, where she spoke about her Wrecking Ball controversy and the open letter from the late Sinead O'Connor talking to her. First, talking about the controversy, Miley said, "I was expecting there to be controversy and backlash, but I don't think I expected other women like Sinead O'Connor to put me down or turn on me, especially women that had been in my position before." Now, let's discuss Miley's heated divorce. Miley and Liam Hemsworth had an on and off relationship that began after they worked together on the 2010 film The Last Song. The pair got engaged in June 2012, but called it off the following year. But in 2016, Hemsworth and Miley rekindled their romance and tied the knot 2 years later. However, the twosome split for good after 8 months of marriage. Following their split, Miley was accused of cheating on Hemsworth after she was spotted getting cozy with Caitlyn Carter. The musician, for her part, shut down the allegations and cleared the air. "Once Liam and I reconciled, I meant it and I was committed," she wrote through a lengthy Twitter thread in 2019. "There are no secrets to uncover here. I've learned from every experience in my life. I'm not perfect. I don't want to be. It's boring. I've grown up in front of you, but the bottom line is I have grown up. I can admit to a lot of things, but I refuse to admit that my marriage ended because of cheating. Liam and I have been together for a decade. I've said it before and it remains true. I love Liam and always will." Miley's song Flowers had apparently a lot of hidden meaning. When Miley Cyrus announced the release date of her song from her 8th album, Endless Summer Vacation, there was a lot of excitement over it. But following its release, the melodic beat, catchy lyrics, and eye-catching music video certainly got fans talking. Not only was it her first song in 2 years, but Miley released it on her ex-husband Liam Hemsworth's birthday. On top of that, fans are pretty convinced the song is a response to Bruno Mars' When I Was Your Man, with theories even suggesting that the music video harbors references to her and Liam's former relationship. Many believe that the gold dress, which Miley sports at the beginning of the music video, is a hidden message about Liam's relationship with his Hunger Games co-star Jennifer Lawrence. Eagle-eyed fans think the dress resembles the gold gown that Jennifer wore as she attended the Hunger Games premiere alongside Liam in March 2012. The house in which the video was filmed for Flowers has also been a talking point when it comes to theories about Liam and Miley. The house is thought to be Miley's 5-bedroom Studio City home, which she reportedly purchased in 2011 for $4 million. It has been rumored that Liam previously cheated on Miley inside that exact house. Towards the end of the video, Miley can be seen strutting her stuff and dancing around her gorgeous home wearing an oversized black suit. This brings about another fan theory that the suit is in fact Liam's. As fans of the pair may remember, Liam sported a similar suit as he attended the Avengers Endgame premiere. Not only that, but there were rumors at the time that Liam could be seen telling Miley to behave for once as they posed on that exact red carpet. Miley Cyrus was apparently once a mean girl in her past. This once mean girl mocked Demi Lovato and Selena Gomez in an online video with her best friend Mandy back in 2008. On their YouTube channel, the teenage girls decided to mimic Miley's Disney rivals when they word for word copied one of Selena and Demi's recent YouTube videos. Although they denied doing this with cruel intentions, they later took the video down and apologized. Miley and Katy Perry locked lips during her tour in 2014, but this wasn't the first time the pair had shared a kiss. The girls have been friends since teenagers, and it's been speculated that Katy Perry's hit single I Kissed a Girl was actually inspired by her close relationship with Miley. Lastly, after much gossip and scandal about Miley's relationships, the superstar decided to set the record straight with a lengthy post on social media. The singer went all in during this outrage, which I must admit had some truth in it. Miley ranted about how the media treats her relationships, claiming that famous men aren't treated the same when they date multiple women. Her post said, quote, "Men, especially successful ones, are rarely shamed. They move on from one beautiful young woman to the next, most times without any consequence," she wrote. "They are usually referenced as legends or heartthrobs or a ladies' man, etc., where women are called awful names. I am just trying to thrive and survive in a man's world. If we can't beat 'em, join 'em. Can't I just have a kiss in an acai bowl?" she continued, referencing to the news that spiked the rant, a TMZ video of Miley kissing 22-year-old Cody Simpson while on an acai bowl date in Los Angeles. First off, we have those racial tweets Hailey posted 10 plus years ago that came to the surface recently. In 2019, Hailey Bieber found herself at the center of a scandal when some of her old tweets resurfaced. Bieber was called out for posting some seemingly racist statements, which she has since deleted. In one post from January 2012, Bieber allegedly wrote, "Shut up before I smack you back to your own country." In another tweet posted in November 2013, Bieber reportedly wrote, "To those foreigners who don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so sorry your country didn't have pilgrims to start such a sick holiday." Understandably, Bieber faced a slew of backlash for posting such problematic messages, with one user on X creating a thread to highlight some of the model's most egregious posts. The thread even highlighted Bieber's alleged use of multiple racial slurs, suggesting that her online activities had been highly offensive in the past. Next, let's discuss Hailey allegedly bullying a classmate in school. Having grown up as the daughter of movie star Stephen Baldwin, Hailey Bieber has likely experienced immense privilege throughout her life. As a celebrity herself, Bieber's character has been called into question on several occasions, with one critic suggesting the model was not very nice in middle school. According to a since deleted video, TikTok user Kimona Elizabeth posted, "Think you can hurt me? Hailey Bieber was my middle school bully," she says. Elizabeth started a follow-up video in which she elaborated on her claim. "I was in 5th grade, Elizabeth explained. Hailey was in 6th. She bullied me. Middle school is full of kids who are either the bullies or the bullied. Unfortunately, I was the bullied, and for that year, Hailey was my bully." However, Elizabeth didn't seem to hold a particular grudge against Justin Bieber's wife. Still, it's curious to find out that she may have had some shady interactions with some of her classmates when she was younger. Hailey's uncle, Alec Baldwin, got in some serious trouble in 2021 on a movie set. On October 21st, 2021, at the Bonanza Creek Ranch in Bonanza City, New Mexico, cinematographer Helena Hutchins was fatally wounded, and director Joel Souza was also injured on the set of the film Rust. And a live round was discharged from a revolver used as a prop by actor Alec Baldwin. The sad and accidental death prompted a discourse on occupational safety in the film industry, the treatment of its employees, and also the use of real guns as props. In 2011, Alec was kicked off an American Airlines flight after he refused to turn off his cell phone when crew members asked him to. The actor shared via X that he had been playing Words with Friends when the incident occurred. "Flight attendant on American reamed me out for playing Words with Friends while we sat at the gate not moving. Hashtag no wonder American Air is bankrupt," he wrote on X. But oddly, 30 Rock plays In Flight on American. Hashtag there's always United. Wow. A statement posted to the American Airlines Facebook page read, "The passenger was extremely rude to the crew, calling them inappropriate names and using offensive language." After his removal from the plane, Alec continued his journey on a later American Airlines flight. Now on the 3 o'clock American flight, he says on X, "The flight attendants already look smarter." Wow. In November 2013, TMZ caught Alec, Hailey's uncle, on video using a homophobic slur during an argument with a photographer. "I apologize and I will retire the slur from my vocabulary, he wrote via X. His MSNBC interview show Up Late was cancelled less than 2 weeks later. Only 5 episodes of the show had aired up to that point. Now, back to Hailey. Fans think Hailey was obsessed with Selena Gomez and Justin's past relationship after some old tweets were resurfaced. I don't care what anybody says, but Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez together is the definition of a teenage dream. #word, one of her tweets read. Another read, she is beyond flawless. And he's Bieber. They are the perfect relationship, and I'm forever alone. Fans think it's borderline creepy that Hailey made these tweets and then years later married Justin. In 2023, TikTok blew up after the Kylie Jenner, Selena Gomez, and Hailey Bieber scandal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me explain. Selena was photographed in a bikini, which indicated she had gained weight, but of course still looked gorgeous. But the press was ripping into her, fat shaming and body shaming her for her recent weight gain. Soon after, Hailey posted a TikTok where she lip synced to "I'm not saying she deserved it, but God's timing is always right." She deleted it shortly after. There was no direct connection between these two events, but Selena's fans accused Hailey of posting it to body shame Selena. Selena recently commented on a video speculating about this whole theory, saying, "I don't let these things get me down. Be nice to everyone." She also commented on several other TikToks shaming Hailey. Selena later posted a story on Instagram showing how she accidentally over-laminated her eyebrows. Kylie Jenner, less than a day later, posted a story of her eyebrows, and then Hailey's soon after. Selena fans assumed Kylie was mocking her. Hailey has never said anything directly to Selena, but this is the closest it's gotten, so it turned the fire up. Selena's fans' current form of activism is to follow Selena on Instagram and unfollow Hailey and Kylie. Because of this, Selena has overtaken Kylie as the most followed woman on Instagram. Hailey has also been accused of being rude at restaurants. In July 2020, a TikTok video was posted by Julia Carolan in which she rated celebrities she served while working at a restaurant in Manhattan. The video has been watched over 3 million times and called out several famous people, including Kylie Jenner, Gigi Hadid, and Hailey Bieber. Next up, we have Miss Bieber, she says in the video. "This is gonna be controversial. I've met her a handful of times, and every time she was never nice," she continued. "I really want to like her, but I have to give her like a 3.5 stars out of 10. Sorry." It seems that Carolan's impression of Justin Bieber's wife was far from flattering. Eventually, the bad review got all the way back to the model herself, who reportedly commented on the TikTok saying, "Just came across this video and wanted to say sorry if I've ever given you bad vibes or a bad attitude." She continued, "That's not ever my intention." Hopefully, she's since changed her ways. Now let's talk about Hailey shading Taylor Swift. In 2023, a video of Hailey Bieber hosting an episode of Host the Mic in 2018 started circulating online on TikTok. In the clip, Hailey made a gagging face when Taylor Swift's album Reputation was mentioned. Understandably, Swift fans were not pleased by Bieber's apparent diss of the pop star, and Selena Gomez enthusiasts apparently took the gesture as an affront to them, too. Somewhat surprisingly, Selena decided to respond to the viral clip of Bieber saying, "So sorry, my best friend is and continues to be one of the best in the game." Selena commented on the video, proving she definitely has Taylor's back. But that's not all. The Biebers again hit the headlines in 2023 when another old video recirculated. In this particular clip, Justin impersonates an unforgettable moment involving Taylor, in which the Cruel Summer singer got upset about bananas while on medication following eye surgery. Hailey could be heard laughing in the background of the video, leading fans to believe that the Biebers were ruthlessly mocking Taylor once again. Lastly, let's discuss Hailey allegedly copying Selena Gomez. As well as being embattled in a number of online feuds with Selena, Hailey Bieber has also been accused of copying the Only Murders in the Building star. For instance, Gomez launched her cooking show Selena and Chef on Max in 2020, giving viewers a glimpse inside her own kitchen. In December 2022, Hailey launched her own cooking show on YouTube called What's in My Kitchen, which took fans inside her house. As a result, comparison between the two series were quickly made. Tattoos provide further evidence that Hailey has copied Selena. Both Bieber and Gomez have G tattoos behind their ears, which is certainly a strange coincidence. In 2015, Refinery29 revealed that Gomez's tattoo was a tribute to her little sister Gracie. Meanwhile, Hailey was reportedly one of many celebrities to get a G tattoo behind her ear in tribute to her pastor Chad Veach's daughter Georgia, who lives with a rare brain condition. Whether or not Hailey actually decided to copy Gomez is unclear, though it doesn't seem as if fans will stop believing that Justin Bieber's wife is taking notes from his ex, Selena. Jim Carrey, one of the biggest and highest paid actors of our time, has shared his thoughts on Hollywood since retiring from the spotlight. After the Chris Rock-Will Smith Oscars slap incident, Carrey shared his opinions on the standing ovation Will Smith received when winning an Oscar later that night. Hollywood is just spineless, and it really felt like it was a clear indication that we aren't the cool club anymore. Carrey went on to say that Smith should have been escorted from the Dolby Theater after slapping Rock for making an insensitive joke about his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. In March 2022, Carrey announced to Access Hollywood that he was probably retiring from acting. Well, I'm retiring. Yeah, probably. I'm being fairly serious, he shared. It depends. If the Angels bring some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see, I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break. Carrey added, I feel like, and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists, I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough. Our second celebrity is Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato starred in many Disney Channel movies and shows like Camp Rock, Princess Protection Program, and Sunny with a Chance. But on a podcast, Lovato shares she, as well as many of her co-stars, were subjected to harsh treatment and multiple strict rules and regulations while working for the company. She said, "You can't be seen at a party with a red cup in your hand because it looks like you're drinking." There was this website called Ocean Up that would take all scandalous things that were happening to Disney actors and put it on there, so we lived in fear of that website. I didn't have food in my hotel room. They wouldn't let me eat the snacks in the mini bar. Then my security walked by my room and was made aware that they had barricaded me into my hotel room. They put furniture outside my door so that I couldn't get out and sneak out and eat if I wanted to. It was that level of controlling when it came to my food, which just made my eating troubles worse. She also stated that she felt that she was practically taking care of her own family. At a certain point, I was paying for the roof over my whole family's head, and my dad had quit his job to become my manager, so his income was coming right from me. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and there was just that pressure of I'm paying for everything and like I need to keep going because if things start to disappear, so does the finances. Our next celeb on the list is Isla Fisher. The actress nearly drowned while filming a scene in Now You See Me. Fisher discussed what went wrong with the stunt, and it is horrifying. I was in a tank of water. My character is submerged in a tank, and piranhas are dropped on her head, she says. And whilst we were there, we shot it over 3.5 days. Even though I had a quick release magnetic thing on my handcuffs, the chain that went between my ankles and my wrists was not able to be broken, and it got stuck underneath the slat, and I was trapped. The actor also discussed the kill switch in the tank. There was a quick release switch that could have emptied the tank of water in 70 seconds. However, as a result of being tangled, Fisher was unable to reach for the switch. I was very scared, and I was banging and saying, "Set me free!" But everybody just thought I was doing fabulous acting. They thought I was being Meryl Streep in that tank. Actually, I was drowning. I guess Hollywood really wanted that good take. Our next celebrity is model Miranda V. The modeling world seems harmless, but darkness looms. Miranda accused Gigi and Bella Hadid's father of inappropriate physical behavior in a lengthy Instagram post in February 2018. Thank you, Kate Upton. It is time people like at Paul Marciano and Mohammed Hadid get exposed for who they really are. I met with Paul at his guest headquarters. That's actually an apartment. I thought it was a professional meeting, but it was just me, him, and champagne where he inappropriately touched me in an apartment. All to get a test shoot for guests. Former Disney Child star Allison Stoner exposes Hollywood with her new podcast, and some of the claims are alarming. Allison said, "I lost the ability to relate to non-famous experiences after the age of 8. Imagine on your 8th birthday you could never walk outside again without being stopped, asked for photos, or followed, unless you wore a disguise or brought security with you." Allison also mentioned the horror when they had to kiss both Dylan Sprouse and Cole Sprouse for an episode of The Sweet Life. The experience left them with conflicted feelings. Your character may have some arc or transformation that isn't evident upon reading the script of the first episode, Stoner explained. So writers and executives might decide to make your character do anything on the next episode, and it's assumed that you're gonna agree to whatever is scripted. My first kiss, and several of the times I experienced kissing, all happened on camera. On camera. Was I ready for that? No, I felt young and uncomfortable, Stoner said, but they were already under contract and didn't want to appear difficult. Another celeb that has exposed Hollywood is Selena Gomez. The superstar who boasts 430 million followers on Instagram often speaks about the downside of being famous, telling Interview magazine in 2020 that everything she does causes a reaction, saying, "The sad part is, I don't remember a time when that wasn't the case. What has kept me afloat is that I know eventually it'll be somebody else, and I don't mean that in a negative way." She said, adding that fame has still allowed her to talk about things that are important to her. "A huge part of why I have a platform is to help people. That's why I think I'm okay with the magnitude. I mean, I'm not really okay with it, but I'm gonna say that I am because it's worth it." Perhaps the celebrity with the most famous Hollywood horror story is Miss Britney Spears. In 2008, Jamie Spears, her dad, was granted the conservatorship after Britney reportedly struggled with mental health issues and was hospitalized. After Britney was released, a Los Angeles court made the conservatorship permanent, giving her father power over all her finances and her medical decisions. Although Britney was an adult at the time, she was treated like a prisoner and says she was not allowed to leave her house unless granted permission. Her father was making more money than her because he was taking a huge percentage of her earnings and not telling her. Wow, what a father he is. The greed of Hollywood doesn't stop there though. Scientology, a popular organization in Hollywood, has been known to take insane amounts of money from its members, claiming the payments will get them into a higher level in the afterlife. Actress Leah Remini, a former Scientologist, exposes the organization for the way they ruined her life after she left. The actress, who was brought into the church as an 8-year-old after her mother converted to the religion, slammed the organization for its alleged scare tactics and seemingly helping certain members avoid jail for various horrible crimes. Leah met famous Scientologist/actor Tom Cruise while still in the organization, but had to pay $1 million to do so, which she paid. After leaving, Leah sued the organization for alleged stalking and hacking. She states she reportedly had cars chasing her and following her every single day and had hackers hack into her bank account and steal thousands of dollars, all because she left the organization. Yikes. Not all Hollywood drama comes from Hollywood though. And this was the case for Kim Kardashian in Paris. In October 2016, while on a work trip to Paris, Kardashian was robbed at 3 a.m. while alone in her hotel. She was tied up and blindfolded while men in masks raided the hotel room for money. In the end, $10 million worth of jewelry was stolen, as well as 2 cell phones. Kim's sisters and bodyguards were at the club while everything took place, and Kim decided to stay home because she was tired. Boy, was that a life-changing mistake. Kim recalled the fear that she felt during a conversation with the concierge, who was also held hostage in that moment. She says to the concierge, "I'm like, what is happening? Are we gonna die? Just tell them I have children. I have babies. I have a husband. I have a family. Like, I have to get home. Tell them, take anything you want." 2 French judges later charged 12 people in relation to that robbery. Kardashian, who shares 4 kids with ex-Kanye West, has said that she almost lost herself in the year following the crime. Explaining on the Alec Baldwin show in 2018, "I was never depressed, but I wasn't motivated to get up and work like I used to. It shook me." However, the reality star also shared that she has learned to feel grateful for the experience in a way. "There was a lot of me that measured who I was by how much I had. I thought, oh, I'm worth so much," she noted. "That needed to change in me." Our final celebrity of the day is Miley Cyrus. Although Hannah Montana was a family-friendly show, starring in it gave Miley an identity crisis, she says. "I had gone from being a character almost as often as I was myself." And actually, the concept of the show is that when you're this character, when you have this alter ego, you're valuable. You've got millions of fans, you're the biggest star in the world, and then the concept was that when I looked like myself, when I didn't have the wig on anymore, nobody cared about me. I wasn't a star anymore. "So that was drilled into my head," Cyrus explained. "I really had to break that, and I think that's maybe why I almost created a characterized version of myself at times, in the way of being aware of how other people see me. I never created a character where it wasn't me, but I was aware of how people saw me, and I maybe played into it a little bit," Cyrus continued. Speaking of her persona after, Cyrus has also talked about how the costumes and makeup took their toll on her, likely causing some body dysmorphia. "I'm this fragile little girl playing a 16-year-old in a wig and a ton of makeup. It was like toddlers and tiaras." She said that being made to look like somebody she wasn't and made pretty for so many years meant that when it ended, she didn't know who she was.
At number 10, we have how she felt about Desperate Housewives. While she enjoyed working on the set and had a great time with the cast and crew, it dominated her career, and she wanted to be known for something other than Desperate Housewives. In a nutshell, the show was about how one of the housewives who passed saw her friends, saw the world, and saw her personal experiences. But over the span of the 15 years the show took place, they gradually learn about the dark and hidden things about the other women, and what they are hiding behind their white picket fences. The show had 8 seasons in total, and won many awards and accolades. And Felicity even won an award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. So why would she want to break away from all that? Well, after the success of the show, she had a hard time landing roles that matched the success of the show. She has many IMDb credits, but all of them were either small roles or not blockbuster hits, which had to have put a dent in her confidence. This brings us to the next point. At number 9, we have how she's overshadowed by her husband. She dated and is now married to William H. Macy, and they have 2 daughters together. But with his decades of success, his most notable role being in Shameless, it's safe to say that people would recognize him first if they're out in public together. 15 years is a long time to be with someone, especially when it comes to Hollywood. He even helped her land some of the roles in some of the movies he was in as well, which led them to both earn their stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2012. It's good for them that they can actively work together, and it's important to be supportive of one another. But there is a definite success gap between the 2 of them, married or not. It could be the fact that Felicity was just never cut out for bigger roles, but as long as she is happy with where her career has gotten her, that's what counts. At number 8, we have how she's a Nepo baby. Now, it wasn't that she was born into a famous family, but she was born into a wealthy family, with her presumed father being a partner at Morgan Stanley. One of her grandfathers was the founder of the Peter Cartridge Company, a Baptist minister and an author, and her great-grandfather was a St. Louis businessman. Because of the family wealth, she attended a private school along with her 6 other siblings, and attended a New York university and an art school in London. This is what led her to have a stage career before reaching the big screen, but we'll get more into that later. While she hasn't directly been labeled a Nepo baby, she insists her success came from her auditions and her natural acting talent, rather than the fact that her parents paid for her to have such a prestigious acting education. At number 7, we have how she started as a stage performer. As I mentioned before, she did study acting and began acting in theater, as a lot of actors do. She's acted in 17 different stage productions, with most of them actually being in New York. She also continued to star in stage productions up until 2015, while taking breaks in between to star on screen. She hasn't said anything about her progression from theater to television, so we don't have a good inside look at how she managed the transition or how she handled it. But with her having numerous lead roles, it's safe to say that her stage acting paid off enough for her to become a television actor, even if they were only small roles in small movies. At number 6, we have her trying to be a parent. It's not easy to be a parent, and it makes it even harder when both you and your husband are regularly working individuals whose entire livelihood is based on landing roles. In the year 2000, she had her first daughter, and in 2002, they welcomed their second daughter. However, when Sophia, her eldest, was born, she felt like she wasn't fit for motherhood, and that she just kept making mistake after mistake while being sleep deprived. She starred in Door to Door in 2002 and has been acting regularly since then, starring in Christmas with the Cranks, Transamerica, Raising Helen, and Phoebe's Wonderland, to name some of the bigger ones. This couldn't have been easy with 2 young daughters at home. While acting seems to run in the family, considering one of her daughters is currently in school for acting, but it wasn't always sunshine. This brings me to the next point. At number 5, we have how she didn't want to be a bad mother. No parent wants to hear that they failed or that they didn't do enough, or their actions caused their child to grow up the way they did. So because of this, both Felicity and William tried to raise their girls out of the media's eye, which is what we know is probably for the best, considering some children of famous people who grow up being famous are a little out of touch with reality. William said in an interview that when Felicity found out she was pregnant, she tried to gain all the knowledge she could about parenting through books, and would read stacks of different parenting books in order to do her best as a mother. Their oldest daughter, Sophia, wanted to follow in her parents' footsteps, and is becoming an actress herself, but not without a hand lent by her mother, which I'll get into later. Both Felicity and William are super supportive of her and say that she's a talented actress. So we hope that success will come her way when she graduates from college, even if her entry was paved smoother than others. At number 4, we have how she didn't win an award for American Crime. For some background knowledge, American Crime is a crime drama TV show that had 3 seasons, with Felicity being one of the lead roles in all 3 seasons. The main cast play a different role each season, but are ultimately all connected together, centered around the crime of the season. Well, the show was a hit, with the first 2 seasons scoring 95% in Rotten Tomatoes, and the 3rd season scoring a whopping 100%. The first season was nominated for 27 awards, the 2nd season was nominated for 11 awards, and the 3rd season was nominated for 2 awards. She alone was nominated for 8 of those awards, but she didn't win a solo award. And the entire main cast won a satellite award for being the best television ensemble cast. So you can bet she was a little upset at the fact that she was constantly nominated, but never quite good enough to win. At number 3, we have Transamerica. The movie received well with critics, but was a lot to take in for some fans. It's got a very long and complicated plotline that makes no sense in some places. And one of the places that left some fans disappointed was that Felicity played a trans female character. It was also widely disregarded because it was released in 2005, and people weren't nearly as open to the movie concept as they would be now. But people thought that Felicity's character should have been played by an actual trans woman who would have had a more genuine understanding of the character, and what the character goes through throughout the movie. The movie was originally created for a film festival, so it never saw theaters, and it was rated a 6.8 out of 10, according to 145 people. However, she did win a Golden Globe for her performance, and critics thought it was a great movie, considering it won 12 awards at a few different award ceremonies. But with how fast the world changes and how quickly Hollywood's gaze changes, it's still overlooked. At number 2, we have how she is practically invisible in today's world. While she had a steady career, her name is only known because of the scandal she participated in a few years ago. Even if she won a handful of awards, she was never in anything monumental enough to be acknowledged by the modern world, or to be remembered as an important character of film history. While being married to a famous actor as well helps with her relevance, it's not working as well as some may think. She has gone back to stage acting, which isn't nearly widely appreciated as acting on screen, so she's going backward rather than forward in her career. But at least she's still trying, right? This proves that even if your star is on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you aren't always relevant to Hollywood. And last but not least, at number 1, we have the Varsity Blues scandal. The point most of you have been waiting for, since she just came forward and talked about it for the first time since it happened. And there have been a lot of different reactions. The Sparks Note version of what happened is her daughter Sophia, the one I mentioned before who's in school for acting, well, Well, her practice SAT scores were subpar, so Felicity paid someone $15,000 to improve her score enough for her to be accepted into the college she's still attending. Felicity claimed she had no choice but to break the law for her daughter to pursue her dream. And she wasn't the only one who was caught during the scandal. Rich parents have been doing it for years, but the fact that she claimed she saw no other option for her daughter if she didn't, and how she wanted her to have a chance at a future, as if she couldn't study harder or work harder like most American students. She even went as far to say that when the FBI entered her mansion and woke up her and her daughters, she thought it was a joke until she was put in handcuffs. She was in jail for 11 days before being released. This just proves how far famous parents will go to make sure their child comes out on top, which we have seen a lot in celebrities.
Number 10. Tragedy. One of the more truly tragic revelations since the book's release is the fact that Meghan suffered a loss very late in her journey as a mom. Within the final pages of the poetry book, Meghan describes the heartbreaking pregnancy loss that she suffered with her fiance Colson Baker, better known as MGK. Meghan told Kana Whitworth from ABC News that she had never been through anything like that before in her life. She has 3 kids already, so it was very difficult for both of them, and it sent them on a very wild journey together and separately and together and apart, trying to navigate what everything means and why it happened. Meghan has made it clear since day one that this is not some expose memoir that you're going to sit down and read for 20 hours on end. This is a collection of truth told through her words. A story that needed to be shared or it was going to make her sick. She's dealt with physical violence from exes, manipulation, tragedy, all these things that she's had to deal with alone or behind closed doors. While she never names any names in her book, we still feel our hearts ache and wrench when she reads a single sentence. Number 9. Addicted to Boys. The title of Meghan's book of poems is called Pretty Boys Are Poisonous and is filled with multiple excerpts regarding her past relationships. One thing that she's spoken about briefly in interviews about this book is the fact that she was addicted to boys and had a history of getting together with her co-stars. She told Drew Barrymore on The Drew Barrymore Show that when she was young, she was really rebellious and wild, always running away to fall in love with a new flame, aka every single co-star. She added that at the time, she felt herself to be a free spirit and was just addicted to the idea of falling in love. She went on to tell Drew that it was actually her kids, Noah, Bodhi, and Journey, that changed her whole mindset on relationships and love. She shares her 3 sons with her ex, Brian Austin Green, and she claims that something happened when she had her first child. She realized she didn't want to repeat the pattern of her own parents with her kids. Despite being a solid mom, she did admit that she's been a little bad in the past, admitting that she painted a Friedrich Nietzsche quote on an ex's wall in a ton of paint just so they had to redo their room, poking fun at herself by saying anyone who dated her should write a poetry book as she was not a peach. Number 8. Oxy and Takiki. There is a poem in this book that shares a similar name to this entry, kind of. I'm not allowed to say the real thing on the internet. And restrictions. Meghan revealed on Good Morning America that she has been in several physical and mentally damaging relationships. I know that's not even close to the right word to use, but again, can't say the real one. She explained that she was involved with a very famous dude, but that nobody knew that she was dating him. This unnamed celebrity is one of the men described as an evil ex in this book. In her poem, she describes a dark moment with this unnamed man, writing, "Your eyes go black and I know it's too late to run." She told people that she was pinned, spat on, and later had hands placed on her throat by a delusional and possessed man. I had the opportunity to listen to some parts of this book, and I am saying this with 100% sincerity. Go read this book. Meghan is a wonderful writer, and I honestly feel like these words are so powerful. This particular one is indescribable. Like, I can't read the entire thing because it's got so many no words in it, but also I don't want to ruin it for you. Number 7, MGK rumors. Cheating rumors are always circulating about everyone. Nobody believes that Hollywood icons can partake in a normal, healthy relationship. For Meghan and her fiance MGK, there have been rumors forever. Since the first day that these two were spotted together, people have been convinced that MGK is somehow an unfaithful maniac. But like, why do people think that? Not sure if you've listened to this guy speak about his music or just in general recently, but he's a bit of a sweetheart. I watched this this man paint his nails with Drew Barrymore on her show. They talked about life, career, and so many cool things, yet the internet looks at this man and just assumes that he's a menace. Well, the rumors were of course false, and Megan Fox actually had to clear the air herself. There was a rumor that MGK was seeing someone named Sophie, who was MGK's guitarist. Megan cleared the air and let everybody know that not only had MGK never cheated on her, she was actually pretty close with bandmates and was confident that Sophie and her fiance were not an item. Megan told people that it was extremely disrespectful to run a news story that was baseless and contains only lies. Very true. Number 6. 2009 Golden Globes. Now this isn't a revelation from a book, but it's something that she had to go through publicly, and it does deserve to be mentioned. In 2009, comments started flying left and right after Megan Fox was spotted acting a little bit strange at that year's Golden Globes award ceremony. She explained that during the event she was placed at a table with Blake Lively and the Jonas Brothers. In the center of the table was a bottle of Moe Champagne. She went through multiple glasses of that very quickly. At the time, she was not much of a no juice indulger, but following her actions at the event, she decided to quit for good. She actually had herself a good old-fashioned blackout at the event, but the parts that she does remember are not great. She went on the red carpet and said a lot of things that apparently got her in a ton of trouble. In a clip from 2009, Megan can be seen walking around telling people how nervous she was to be there and that she was on the verge of tossing up her cookies at any moment. She also made a ton of comments on her female co-stars, nothing bad. Just one quote I found in particular was her expressing how much she wanted to have Salma Hayek's chest. The evening was also a bit strange as people were wondering where her husband at the time, Brian Austin Green, was. She told people that he was a man with an ego and that he didn't want to be her date. Number 5. Shoplifting. Megan's done a lot of things over the years, and one of those things, as it turns out, is shoplifting. Not while she was famous though. She did not pull a Winona Ryder. She actually stole a $7 bottle of lip gloss from the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen makeup collection when she was still in her teens. She revealed in a resurfaced interview that the Walmart employees actually caught her and called the police. She was made to go to a real courtroom and appear in front of a real judge who gave her two options. Either she had to wear a sign that says "I stole from Walmart" and stand outside for 3 days, or she could wrap Christmas presents. Guess which one she picked. So hey, if you had Christmas presents wrapped at a Walmart in the US roughly 20 years ago, might have been Megan Fox. Hey, that's pretty cool. There is not a chance on this planet that that paper still exists, but hey, that'd be pretty valuable paper if it did. Number 4, Michael Bay scandal. Megan has been featured in several films over the years, but it was an interview about her time working with Michael Bay that landed her in a lot of hot water. The original live-action Transformers movies came out in 2007 and co-starred Megan and Shia LaBeouf in the leading roles. Now, they were fun films on screen, but behind the scenes there was apparently a ton of tension on set. According to Megan, who had previously worked with Michael on Bad Boys 2, working for Michael was like working for Schmittler. Fun fact, if you had sh in front of someone's names, you can say it online. Loophole. Of course, Michael didn't appreciate being compared to like one of the worst men in human history, so many speculated that her being left out of the third movie might have had something to do with this behind the scenes drama. She went on to call him bland and claimed that he had no personality or social skills, which is just plain rude. I don't know why she had to say that. When the comments were made public, her career began to slowly suffer. Not only was she written out of the Transformers series, but she was forced to make a public apology and retract her statements following the slew of backlash. She took a few years off, but Michael himself later acknowledged that there were missteps on both parts and accepted her retractions. But the pair were able to patch things up and work together on the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies from 2014. So, yay us! Number 3, Me Too movement. As some may remember, the Me Too movement began back in the mid-2010s and acted as a conduit for performers to speak out against their fellow Hollywood peers and, actually have their voices heard. Many celebrities were outed, and the situations with them are so bad that I can't even say their names. But I can make up new ones. People like Bill Cos, Harvey Hamburger Shop, and Kevin Spaceman were at the forefront of these allegations. Megan was actually left out of this conversation at the time, and it was mainly due to her being annoyed at Hollywood. She had actually been trying to out some of her peers for years, but according to Megan, she was ridiculed every time she actually spoke up. For Megan, she had already expressed how uncomfortable she felt on certain sets, especially Bad Boys 2, where she was under a waterfall at the age of 15, and claims that she had tried to bring attention to the misogyny that exists in Hollywood long before the movement existed. However, the movement only made her a bigger punchline. Even when she attempted to branch out into more female-led projects, she was apparently met with similar ridicule. She claims to have never felt truly included in the movement, but believes in it nonetheless. Number 2, lied about LA. Celebrities indulge their stories all the time. Most careers are literally built on the foundation of lying for money. While Megan may be great on screen, she's apparently a wonderful liar off screen as well. During an interview with GQ a while back, she detailed her wild nights out when she first moved to Los Angeles, detailing a specific club that she used to attend regularly called The Body Shop. Inside, she met a woman named Nikita and fell hard. Megan explains that she would buy her things, frequent the establishments, and a few other steamy details that I can't get into. However, a few years later, the story was revealed to be heavily indulged by Megan herself. She said that the story was true, but she might have exaggerated some of the aspects for fun. For instance, she made it seem like the relationship between herself and Nikita was physical or romantic, but that just wasn't the case. She just had a crush and they got along. Simple as that. And at number 1, legendary. While in attendance at the highly anticipated battle between Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier at UFC 264 in 2021, Megan made some observations about the former president, Donald Trump. During an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, she revealed that the entire audience was in awe of this man attending the event. She said that when he entered, it was to a ton of applause, and that he was surrounded by tons of Secret Service agents, to which she said Trump was the legend. Now, when news broke that Megan called him a legend, there was a ton of backlash, but she quickly clarified what she meant with the statement. She said that she doesn't align herself with any political parties or individual politicians. She never said that Don was a legend. She said that his appearance at the arena was legendary, okay? She ended the statement by sarcastically saying that she appreciated the uneducated, medieval, pitchfork-carrying, burn a witch at the stake mentality that the world needs more of. Well said.
At number 10, we have how Priscilla was only 14 when they met. We know Elvis has a knack for being eccentric and a real crowd pleaser, but when he is a 26-year-old man who had already begun establishing his career, started dating the 14-year-old Priscilla, it should have caused way more outrage than it did. In 1959, there was over a 10-year age gap between them, and she was legally still a minor. Her parents weren't too fond of the thought of her daughter dating a literal grown adult who happened to be a musician, but they begrudgingly let it slide because he was rich and famous. Priscilla and her family were living in Germany at the time, and the only reason they met was because Elvis was drafted there with the US military, seeing as he was enlisted in the height of his prime. So not only did he have an established music career, but he was old enough to be a US soldier when she was just going into high school. To add to all of this, when he was sent back to the States, he up and left her with no contact and barely so much as a goodbye. This brings us to our next point, about how he was a terrible partner. Before he and Priscilla were married, he knew exactly who he was, what he looked like, and the effect he had on young women. So, in a very scummy fashion, he would often create narratives to convince women to spend the night with him, whether it be for physical intimacy or emotional intimacy. Actress Sybil Shepherd said that she had a brief affair with him, and she was pretty disappointed. She even claimed it was highly overrated. According to Priscilla, however, he was skilled in every way except for the actual deed itself. She was raised Catholic, so maintaining purity before marriage was a must, and he abided by that, but barely. After they were married, he gave Priscilla a child, Lisa Marie, and he refused to have any sort of intimacy with her after she was born, and that is where the marriage began to fall apart. Apparently, up until his passing, he needed to have a woman in his bed, whether or not he was performing or whether or not he was married. This leads us to point number 8, about how often he really cheated on her. I mean, when you're that rich and famous, he used that as an excuse to justify his actions, which is already an awful thing to do. It began when they actually started dating, seeing as he was mucking around with 14-year-old Priscilla. He also had a spicy thing with his private secretary, who was only 19 at the time. He would often bounce around from woman to woman just to feel something different every night. And of course, he could get away with it because he's Elvis. When he left Germany and went back to Tennessee, Tennessee, he got into a short-lived relationship with Anita Wood, and she discovered he would often have wild nights with young girls. She even found a letter from Priscilla begging him to move her to the States so they could be together again. This is when Anita saw behind the curtain, and she left him shortly after. But because Priscilla was young and naive, she would have been willing when Elvis introduced new players to the game, if you catch my drift. His excuse for his unfaithful actions was that he was famous and that's just who he was, and she could accept him for who he was or leave. In a healthy relationship, that isn't a position you should ever be in, famous or not. At number 7, we have his use of substances. It's no secret that Elvis has severe substance issues. It was the 60s, so even soda pop had substances mixed in. Linda Thompson was one of his past relationships, and in her autobiography, she went into detail about what it was like being with him while he was struggling. Apparently, while they were together, she had saved his life multiple times because she found him unconscious face down on the floor or having taken too much prescription medication. She said he felt like he couldn't be harmed by the medications he was taking, even if it was far too much. She said that he had over a dozen different medication bottles on his nightstand when they went to Vegas for their first trip together. It got to a point where he would take an absurd amount of sleeping pills to sleep through the entire day so he would be rested enough to stay up all night. All the medication really did was have a hand in his passing. At number 6, we have how Priscilla was a co-producer of the movie. It isn't a dark Elvis secret, but it makes the amount of stuff he did in the movie all the more haunting. She wanted to make sure that it was both accurate and dramatic at the same time, and so that she could recreate scenes that accurately represented her time with Elvis. Priscilla's book, Elvis and Me, gave very good details about the situation she was put in, and she had no fear dragging his name through the mud, considering everything he put her through. The most interesting part is that when the casting director for the movie did an interview with Lisa Marie, Elvis and Priscilla's daughter, she didn't see what Priscilla was talking about, and she thinks her mother made him seem way more awful than he actually was, and that her book was vengeful and hateful, and Lisa Marie couldn't understand why. Lisa Marie actually had issues very similar to her father's, so it makes sense why she would be so blind to his personal life problems. At number 5, we have how often Elvis left. Now this one is less shocking than some of the others, which is why it comes right in the middle of our list. We knew he left Priscilla high and dry when she was a teenager, but even when they were living together, he would often be gone for months at a time, just to be home for a few days, to leave again. This took a serious toll on Priscilla's mental health. He would leave for many different reasons. Sometimes it was tours, sometimes it was for movies, other times for interviews, but she was at home alone all the same. Well, at one point, she decided she had enough and made a surprise appearance in Los Angeles where he was filming at the time. Instead of him being happy and welcoming his wife to the set, he threatened her and sent her away, and said that she needed to accept that that was who he was. This should have been her breaking point, but instead she still married him, which led to a very mentally damaging relationship that only lasted a few more years before she decided it was time to leave him. At number 4, we have how Priscilla was barely legal when they were married. Now, I've mentioned it a few times in the list already that she was only 14 when they met and dated for the first time. But when he finally paid her to move in with him, she was still in high school. Her parents were very against the idea of her moving in with him across the world, but reluctantly they agreed, and she finished her final year in high school in Tennessee. But because she was living a very lavish and fancy lifestyle, being Elvis's girlfriend, she barely managed to pass her final year. They got married in 1976, which would have made Priscilla 22 at the time. She had enough time to graduate and get into the groove of adulthood. The following year, she found out she was pregnant with Elvis's child, and like I mentioned before, that was one of many stakes in their marriage. She was definitely too young to be married and have kids, and it affected her mental and emotional state as well as her physical well-being. At number 3, we have how a book was linked to his passing. In 1977, 3 of Elvis's former personal bodyguards got together to write a book titled Elvis, What Happened? It was basically a tell-all memoir about Elvis and all of the shady deals and things he was involved with, and it gave a deeper look into his substance use and who he really was as a person. Well, the book was released just 2 weeks before his passing, so people theorized that he caught wind of the book's release and couldn't cope with people seeing how awful he really was. Before his passing, he actually tried to stop the book from being published by attempting to bribe the publishers. They refused the offer because because they knew the book would make waves across the world. Apparently, when he found out it was released, his heart problems got worse, seeing as he already had high blood pressure, which didn't help with the other bodily issues he was enduring at the time. People think this contributed to his passing, but that was never confirmed, considering he had a whole pharmacy in his system when he passed. At number 2, we have how he wanted to act in serious movies. It's not nearly as dark as some of the other things on the list, but it's definitely an interesting point to make. Elvis got his big break as a musician, as everyone knows, but he was also an actor for a while at the height of his stardom. He often played in summer beach movies or comedies, but he really wanted to get into playing more serious and genuine roles. His manager, Tom Parker, didn't take him where he wanted to be, and he felt like he led him astray. However, Parker did hold up to his end of the bargain. He promised Elvis he would make him millions, which he did, whether it be for the right or wrong reasons. When Priscilla was helping work on the film, she said the director did a great job of recreating Elvis the way she saw him, and how he really was from her point of view. The last we heard, Priscilla and Tom Parker are on good terms now, all things considered. And last but not least, at number 1, we have having his mirrors changed. This point makes number 1 because of the amount of concern it should have raised. When he was still young and married to Priscilla, he had a Beverly Hills home that was far from welcoming. He and his guy friends would invite masses of dancers and showgirls to have nights with them. But it wasn't just questionable adult fun. Elvis had installed two-way mirrors in a lot of the walls of the bedrooms so he could spy on the other people he invited without them knowing. And he also kept an eye on anyone who was in the house. Priscilla decided it was finally time to put her foot down and say they needed to be changed. Well, after his many affairs, he did change them to be one-way mirrors, but it was so he could have full privacy in his own home, with no opportunities for anyone to secretly be filming him, or be spying on him. How hypocritical. At the end of the day, his life wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and with the release of the movie Priscilla, we are getting a better look into how he really was as a person, instead of just being the character we see on screen and on stage.